And I'm Guy. And this is your home for everything Alberta Independence, broadcasting live 6 days a week, twice a day, Monday through Friday at noon and at 5 p.m. and once on Saturday at 5 p.m. And every Sunday, we try to have a pre-recorded interview of somebody that supports Alberta Independence.
Or an interesting interview, because eventually I do want to talk to maybe someone that doesn't support it just to see what they have to say. But first of all, hello, and thank you so much for joining us today. Please don't forget to subscribe because it is what helps us out the most, and it is free to use. So that's what helps us out the most. We're also trying to get to 100 likes per stream. So if you haven't liked this stream, please do so because it really, again, does help us out and help the stream reach out to more people.
We're trying to reach out to new audiences, and we noticed if we hit 100 likes, it pushes us out to a much wider audience the next day.
Yes. Also, we do read all your comments, or at least attempt to and try to. So please do let us know what you think. We do prioritize Super Chats, so we'll pause the whole show for Super Chats. But otherwise, after each segment that we have on the show, we'll read the rest of the comments.
And the night show should be a little bit more relaxed than the day one. I try to have a heart out after an hour and a half in the day, so the two streams don't get too close in time.
We're trying to train ourselves to comply with the time that we gave ourselves. But first of all, I also want to say hi to all of you. Todd says, hey, Guy, way to go. Keep her going, buddy.
Oh, thank you.
I told everyone in John's stream I was getting ready for you guys when you were live at 5. Thank you so much for doing that. And says he did a short live stream recently, John talking to Albertans. And we have interviewed John. You can go see the interview maybe after this live or later on tonight. It is on our channel as well.
Well, it's good to hear John's doing live streaming. He said he wanted to do it, and he's just going right ahead and doing it. When you said that, I was reading your comment before the show, and I went and checked it out. He was like live on the ground outdoors, so it was very interesting. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
That too. And Glenn Gunn, hello, says good evening from Cowtown. Good evening. And Troglodyte says, how's it going, eh? I can't make a Canadian accent. Maybe I already have it and I don't notice because I lived there for so long, but I don't even know what accent I have. Todd says, hey there in great old Calgary. And Liptears says, hello, Patriots. Hello. Thank you for being here as
and
well.
I will say one more thing. On our X account, we had a new follower, and that was Mocha from Rebel News. I was excited. I was excited to see him follow us because I've been watching him for absolute years. I'm going to try to reach out to him for an interview at some point.
Because he has been doing really great investigative reporting as well. From the Freedom Convoy up to now, but he focused on very niche Alberta subjects about one little town and what was going on with mining in that town. We kind of highlighted that as well. So he's been doing actual investigative journalism, which nobody apparently nowadays remembers how to do except the independent journalists.
Well, he also went a cross country in the truckers convoy, I believe, from Calgary to Alberta.
We followed his whole journey.
Yeah.
Well, we were going to the protests in BC, but we weren't able to fully leave our jobs that were hanging on by a thread back then, but we still wanted to do something. Troglodyte says, doing good, but I do woodworking while listening to the stream, trying to keep my fingers on my hand. Yes, please do so. Please keep your eyes on the saw, drill. I don't know what people use to do woodworking.
Well, fantastic. You're doing woodworking, following in the steps of Jesus there.
Yeah, Jesus. Todd says, I got a roast and potatoes and carrots and onions in the slow cooker. Got a buddy coming for supper. We might try and watch Shack or The Shack, but I'll probably just tell him we're watching The Fringe instead.
Absolutely fantastic. I was getting so hungry when I was reading your comments. Everybody that puts comments before the show, I start reading them. And the other day, somebody was talking about freaking pierogies. I can't find pierogies in Mexico now. Now you're talking about pot roast, and it's really hard to find pot roast and stuff in Mexico as well.
And I'm really bad at slow cooking
and
stuff.
Yeah, we don't have a slow cooker anymore. Well, we were talking to Chris from the Whistle Stop. He is cooking up a feast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the weekend. Troglodyte says, Fringe is a good choice. He does a great Trump.
A great Trump and a great Peter as well from Family Guy.
Todd also says Fringe is the man and Mike is on tonight. Which Mike,
fantastic. The regular mic they have on Mondays.
Mike Freedom Honey, got it. Primors 007, hello, hadn't seen you in a while, says, hola Nat y Guy, finally back home in Calgary. That's why, that explains it. Looking forward to all the stupidity from Carney today, freedom for Alberta. And it'll continue not just today, but on to as long as he's with Canada.
Yeah, there was a bunch of clips for today. I actually put a lot of them in for tomorrow morning's show, but we have a few for today as well.
Justin GP, hello, how was your work day? Because I know 12 of you were watching us during work. Says, hi, Nat and Guy and all here for the intro music, but stayed for the content. We just kind of randomly picked that one.
Well, and I will say thank you for the one individual that recommended we start doing a countdown. I think on every thumbnail, we're going to start doing 175 days, 74 days, 73 days, right down till October 19th. So anybody that watches the show knows exactly when the vote's going to take place. I hope other channels start doing the same as well.
Troglodyte says, great escape, Primores. I'm stuck here on the island lefty loony bin. And again, we escaped the insane asylum that was Vancouver, but Vancouver and Victoria will forever bring down British Columbia, in my opinion. Sky Pilot says North Carolina, USA Sky Pilot. Is that actually a Sky Pilot? I don't know what that means, but thank you for being here if you are here from North Carolina as well. But let's start with, is it breaking news?
Breaking news, yeah. And it's a different wrinkle on what we covered for breaking news in the morning. It's about Igor. The second half in this wrinkle that we're talking about on tonight's episode is far more tragic what they're trying to do to him than just trying to cancel his Instagram account.
Well, far more disgusting. Yeah. Let's get into it.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Extra, extra, read all about it.
And yeah, unfortunately starting with, well, not unfortunately starting with Igor, but unfortunately this is happening to Igor. He says, quote, today, Forever Canada people tried blocking my Facebook after blocking my Instagram. Now they're planning to fake report my kids to child services if I don't stop supporting Alberta independence. This is the anonymous special agent behind the account.
Well, yeah, it was one thing to go after his Facebook and Instagram, which was bad enough, but we can just resubscribe to his account. But when there's comments like this, and let's go into the comments here talking about they're going to fake report him and take away his kids. This is more than a step too far.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the left is always great and tolerant until you don't agree with them. So they say, and Angela says, perhaps if you weren't trying to dismantle the country that took you in. And also said, Ross Creek Woodwork says, cease and desist your efforts to destabilize Alberta and Canada, or you will have your children removed by Calgary Protective Services. They're being brought up in an abusive environment.
And then there is one more comment there if you go back.
If I go forward.
Yeah.
And this is the same one saying, hey guys, we've got Igor Riltsev on the ropes. Do not let up. And this is this person talking. We're saying go support Igor. He's had his main Facebook and Instagram accounts shut the F down. He has a new IG. And if we want to destabilize this destabilizer to Alberta and Canada, shut all the way down. You guys have to keep reporting him. One of my teammates has reported him for terrorism. Do whatever it takes because he is a domestic terrorist in Calgary. He is not. And please keep reporting his 6-year-old's kid's Instagram account too. So now they're bringing in the kid directly. This kid is being used and abused by Igor and his wife. Get those kids in some protective care.
And you have to know if they're going this far, they're definitely doxing him on top of that. This is way, way, way too far. We need to come out and support Igor, whether you like him or you don't like him. I understand some people, Jeff Rath rubs the wrong way. I personally like him, but there's going to be content creators that we like and we don't like. But when things like this happen within Alberta independence, we need to stand behind him to send a message that we stand behind all our content creators, all of our canvassers, and everybody in the movement. And we're going to rebuild his account.
So go follow his account. It's real. I'm just going to spell it out. Realigorryltsev on Instagram. This is the one he's trying to rebuild. And apparently now they have also, again, are trying to get into his Facebook. I wouldn't doubt they try to get at his YouTube. Luckily, YouTube is a little bit wiser about mass reporting campaigns because it's happened so often. But either way, it could also get taken down if we don't do something about it.
And they're going after the big creators first to try to send a message and a chilling effect across the entire movement. They've gone after the fringe outright on broadcast TV, on CTV, and major network news. They're going after Igor, trying to cancel his account. A lot of people don't know, but Igor has very large accounts because he built a lot of those accounts off his journey and his migration to Canada. Then he was a real estate agent. So he had a lot of real estate content, which he built up there as well, which is fantastic because that gives him an audience to talk about Alberta independence that are kind of on the fence or maybe even against it and hopefully change their minds. That's why they're going after him.
And that's why he is so valuable as well. But as soon as they start messing with people's kids or start saying they want to report someone to police or doxing or whenever it crosses that line, and I would say always, but whenever it crosses that specific line, going into family, kids, neighbors, family members that have nothing to do with the creator himself or that are not involved one-on-one with the creator himself,
You're losing your words, Nat.
It's disgusting. It's because it's disgusting. That's why I'm losing my words, because it's insane that that is the only thing that side has. They only have the fear tactics, the terror tactics, the hate tactics, as they like to call them, to go against the movement, because they have no real true arguments, because maybe deep down they do know that they live in an insane asylum.
And we talked about this earlier, and it's very important that we individuals within Calgary start going to on-the-ground events. You have to think the federal government has hate speech legislation and censorship legislation already enacted, and some more on the shelf. They're going to try to silence a lot of content creators within Alberta, but with in-person meetings, it's much harder to do that. So we really need to attack them from all sides until they come with the mass censorship for online. I usually don't put the same story in day or night, but I felt that was extremely important. That's also why I led both broadcasts with that particular story, because we need to get behind Igor right now.
Yeah, go follow Igor if you don't already. The new account.
Yeah.
But now I read some of the rest of your comments, and then we'll head over into Alberta Stay Free, because we are moving towards now the campaign itself for the referendum.
And there's a fantastic post by Jeff Rath we're going to get into when we get into that section.
Yes. Sam says, welcome, American. I guess the Sky Pilot. Glenn Gunn says, Rebel is top-notched.
Yeah, and especially right now, because they took a big risk really planting their flag on the side of Alberta independence when no other major independent news organization would do that. Even Juno News, they're giving fair reporting. I like their reporting, but almost all their reporters, as well as an organization, want to keep Alberta a part of Canada. I don't mind that as long as they're going to give fair reporting, but Rebel News has come firmly on the side of independence. They hired Tamara Lich so she can go out during her house arrest and really make a huge impact. They have Sheila Gunn-Reid, they have Mocha, they have a ton of reporters doing the work on the ground in Alberta.
Errol says, Errol driving in Toronto to hear you guys. Thank you so much. And hello all the way to Toronto. Hopefully you're surviving over there.
Well, and thank you to everybody in national Canada as well. We do really appreciate your support in Alberta. It's going to take a group effort. We understand what the Canadian government has done to all conservatives and a lot of people across Canada. Hundreds of thousands of Canadians flee to the United States every year. We review the numbers on a regular basis. If there is anybody in Canada right now considering leaving Canada for the United States and you're willing to vote for independence, consider Alberta first so you can vote for independence and the founding of a new nation. And if the vote for some reason doesn't go our way, you can always use the United States, Mexico, or another country as the safety net and a backup plan.
Exactly. Troglodyte says, all the separation channels should run a countdown. Great idea. On the independence ones, but yes.
Well, and the reason they need to run the countdown is so when October 19th comes around, nobody forgets. And there's everybody knows October 19th, the founding of a new nation.
Exactly. Todd, hello. Oh, I said hello to Todd. Says, we stand with Igor and his family, and same with us. We stand with them because, again, it's the only arguments they have is to create panic and fear and chaos, because they know Canada's messed up, if not to say another word. Troglodyte says, never been to the mob ever. Exactly. David W. Carlson says, hello from Spruce Grove, Alberta. Hello, and thank you for being here. Sky Pilot says, you arm LOL Sky Pilot is my pronoun. I don't know what that means. Embarrassed Canadian says, over the target. And that too. Igor is over the target if they're going that hard after him as well. And again, he has that other community he built initially, like everybody that was following him before he started talking about Alberta independence. And they probably are scared that these people might get to hear the actual good talking points to get Alberta to
I don't know if they're scared. I think they want to send a chilling effect. It's not going to work trying to send a chilling effect through Alberta independence, because we've already been through this with the truckers convoy, the jibby jab era. But the chilling effect they're trying to send is with Igor's audience. It's a huge audience of immigrants and an immigrant community. And when Igor was starting that conversation with them, they were already saying they don't want to sign the petition because they're scared, but they will go out and vote. They want to send that chilling effect so they don't even go out and vote on October 19th.
Exactly. But we also have seen their targets, as you mentioned, during the Freedom Convoy. So I think, hopefully, I hope more people are prepared to see what the tactics are going to be, at least from individuals, but also the government itself. And Tal, hello, says, howdy again, Nat and Guy. Hello.
Howdy.
Oh, and Todd says Centurions is a way to do this, guy. And follow Igor, y'all. He's the bestest. Yes.
Yeah, the Centurion project is my favorite project of all the projects that are popping up right now. If you are a canvasser, there's a lot of different projects like the Centurion project and other things that you can get into for the campaign season, so we can keep this thing going and keep the momentum of the 7,000 strong canvassers that we had in the petition phase.
And we will continue talking about what all those are, and maybe hopefully bringing people into interview as well as we move towards the campaign season. But let's move on to the Alberta Stay Free section, because again, this is the first week of that push as well.
Yeah.
Free home Alberta, where the roots run deep and the money trees grow.
Starting with Western Standard saying, quote, "Why Canada's first past the post system still works better than you think."
Yeah, and this is the kind of propaganda they're going to come with, that they have a fair electoral system, that it's evenly balanced. You even see the scale in the picture there. It's not fair at all. This system does not work good. The federal government would have you believe that, though. Mm-hmm. And I think in this Western Standard article, they actually kind of expose it a little bit.
I do agree with that comment at the bottom. They're saying, who wrote this obvious drivel? If it's working so well, why is Canada so divided? What BS liberal propaganda and outright lies to suit the narrative are you?
Okay.
But it's interesting because it is from the Western Standard. What?
Let's continue on.
With Freedom Calendar. And if you don't follow him, go follow him, because he will continue to do on live stream all of the events that are going on around Alberta independence. He is doing an incredible job and an incredibly time-consuming job as well. So go follow freedomcalendar.net. The British North American Act, the purpose of the Union of the Provinces is to serve the interest of the British Empire, as it was said initially, and it continues to be that way. Sorry, I messed that up. There we go.
It's the biggest part of our Constitution. There's 4 paragraphs saying what they're for. I want to just read one of them to you. And so they're talking about these provinces getting together and this Dominion of Canada being formed. And whereas such a union would conduce to the welfare of the provinces and promote the interests of the British Empire. So the biggest part of our...
That's the point. There are still a lot of strings attached to the British Empire. A lot of people don't understand this. King Charles has the ability to dissolve Parliament through his...
Governor General.
Through the Governor General.
Yes, Mary Simon, who continues to talk at the UN about how important it is to just continue doing UNDRIP, for example. But John Alberta Patriot says, we put in the work, we followed the law, we went out, had conversations, collected the signatures, and got well past the minimum. That matters. Nobody should be able to take that away from Albertans now. This wasn't forced, it wasn't rushed, it was done through the proper democratic process. So the next step is obvious, let Albertans vote. That's what a referendum is for. The petition process has spoken. Now people should get to speak at the ballot box on Alberta independence.
And again, most people know John, but this is typical of his content. Absolutely fantastic.
You can't silence the people. Right? We have our signatures. We've done the work.
Yeah.
Thousands of people have done everything that they can to make this happen. They're making their hearts known.
Yeah.
That's what's important, and nobody can take that away from us. You can't silence the people.
And there's a lot of truth in that. You're not going to be able to silence the people. It's lining up like there's a grassroots movement of hundreds of thousands of citizens versus the elites. And it seems like every single national politician, other than maybe Maxime Bernier.
Yeah, exactly. And as I mentioned there, what we continue to hammer on about is that all the canvassers, all that engaged citizenry that now has been activated in a way to care about the process, about democracy, about the referendum, about getting things to be fair and democratic as possible, but also talking to each other, engaging with their fellow citizens, being able to have those polite conversations with each other and those polite debates as well with each other without having to resort to the measures that the other side is deciding to take is the most important thing I think gained and will help Alberta not just towards the referendum and this campaign season, but also as it forms and builds a new nation with, I hope, that engaged citizenry still there and still being vocal about as citizens what they want their government to represent.
Well, and I will also say, if you've never been on social media or never made a little video or something like that, leading up to the October 19th founding of a nation and referendum, is, I think, very crucial that regular citizens kind of post their views, their opinions, their concerns, and their support for Alberta independence, because it helps other people come out of the shadows and not be scared to voice their opinion as well. The federal government's going to come with a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. That's going to be their game plan. People that are firmly on the side of Alberta independence, that's not going to affect. But the people on the fence and on the other side, it may have a bit of an effect. How we counterbalance that is videos just like that of regular citizens speaking up.
And again, there is that precedent that has been set during the Freedom Convoy of how the government reacts. And now, as we see, the online censorship bills and the censorship bill itself coming into effect, Bill C-9, Bill C-22, C-11, all of them being able to work in concert with each other to silence other voices. Now they're giving themselves even further power than what they had during the Freedom Convoy to coerce social media and even citizens themselves to not speak and to not use their freedom of speech, which doesn't fully exist in Canada even. But speaking of those other groups, we did also see this from CTV News Calgary saying treaties, quote, treaties in Alberta are not optional agreements. First Nations gather at City Hall rally against separatists. And they had to pick the widest zoom in that they could to make it seem like there were many, many people there when that was not reality.
Where are all the natives here? I'm seeing old white women. Okay, and the thing I'm going to say about this is we've seen this coming from 1,000 miles away. Their attack vector was going to be First Nations. They got the elite from the First Nations and the people running the tribe lining their pockets with liberal money from Ottawa to kind of speak up. But they did it very slowly, and we were able to see it coming, and we were able to counteract it with regular members of these tribes that were kind of fed up with what a lot of the elites are doing. They came out with videos, they came out with letters, they came out with mass support. And people in Alberta independence like us, I know we directly asked the First Nations community, if you support Alberta independence, we need you to show it in a public way so we can counteract this kind of messaging. This no longer hits because of how many First Nations individuals have come out at this point.
And I'm also encouraged what Marty up north told us during his interview, that not that many Albertans watch mainstream news anymore. It's dwindling in numbers, specifically in Alberta itself. We know that throughout the rest of Canada, a lot of people and a lot of lemmings still do. But luckily in Alberta, I think most people have decided to come to or go to the independent journalists, the content creators, the online platforms, rather than the paid-off mainstream media.
But we do have to realize a lot of people do still watch mainstream media in national Canada. And I think Mark Carney's strategy, the more I game plan it, it's very hard to go against Alberta independence. Anybody they put up against it seems to only drive more people to support independence. That being said, he's going to want to try to use his media propaganda arm on national Canada and isolate Alberta so he has good polling numbers in order to possibly use the Emergencies Act. That's the big game plan I see coming from Mark Carney. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's very important we reach out to national Canadians. We've done so by reaching out to Clyde Do Something, as well as a few other content creators. And we have a big interview coming up later this week. Yes. We'll talk about it when we release it, because I won't believe we actually got the interview until after it's recorded. Exactly. I was shocked. We almost didn't email this individual because we thought we had no shot at getting the interview.
But so that's exciting. But also exciting, this Wednesday, we're releasing our interview with John Bolton himself. So stay tuned for that one. We will continue to make announcements about John Bolton's interview too. Yeah. But as we come to, again, the end of the canvassing period, a very prescient post from Jeff Rath saying, I turned in my canvasser badge and signature sheets today. Very mixed emotions, incredibly proud that this portion of the Alberta Prosperity Through Independence project was so successful. Somewhat sad that I don't get to visit with a hardworking army of canvassers anymore, but he can and you can too. Again, that engaged citizenry, it was going to be very, very important for the campaign part of all of this. And says, thank you to everyone who participated for their hard work, perseverance, and dedication to a better future for our children. And completely agree with that last sentiment too.
Yeah, and he put up a couple really good posts. He put one up last week about him riding his bike and going to get a few signatures before he was going to have this day come where he had to turn in his canvasser badge. I would have loved to see a few photos of when he was out getting signatures, because he was a huge figure within Alberta independence, and to connect him with canvassing would have been big as well.
Yeah. And the fact that he did it as well, and he kind of put his put his actions where his words are,
Yeah.
or whatever that phrase is also important. And again, we do
He walked the walk. He didn't
walked
just talk the talk.
exactly. And we will continue to see a lot of the spokespeople, I call them now, for Alberta independence moving forward. Again, we have that debate between Keith Wilson and Jason Kenney coming on May 1st, and then the second date is May
24th, I
24th.
believe. I believe the
25th.
first one is in, hold on, I got my notes from this morning.
May 1st.
May 1st in Calgary is going to be the first debate. If Jason Kenney survives that debate or even shows up, because he is looking weaker and weaker every day that goes past. I watch interviews any chance I can get from Kenney to know what his arguments are going to be. And it seems like his arguments have gotten weaker since the Bruce Party debate. The second debate is going to be on May 25th, and that one's in Edmonton. So if you're in Calgary or in Edmonton, you're definitely going to want to catch that live. I'm going to have to
If
do
you
it
can,
from
yeah.
online though.
Yes, but of course we will talk about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Because we also don't want to conflict with the stream itself. So we'll probably talk about it afterwards. But I'm sure it's going to be very interesting because Jason Kenney right now apparently is the best they have
Yeah,
to
and the
talk
be-
for National Canada.
And to be honest, the best that we do have is Keith Wilson by, I would say a country mile or an Albertan mile.
Exactly.
Let me go to my night notes here.
Now we'll read some of your comments and then we'll move on to Alberta politics because interesting things are happening on the other side as well. Todd says, Igor is my freedom fighter brother from Ukraine. Listen to him. Yes.
Absolutely.
Todd says, I want to see yes signs everywhere.
And we're going to start to need some kind of yard sign or something like that, I think. And I don't know who's going to be in charge of that, but they're going to need something.
Well, people can make their own yard signs.
Yeah, well, yeah, that might be good too because it will be unique, and then we can show a
Exactly.
lot of different pictures from a lot of different things. That being said, if they're all unique yard signs that are homemade, you may have the national media make up a plant yard sign and put it all over the media. So maybe one general yard sign is a better idea because it can't be counteracted by the mainstream.
And this is why I'm also very interested to talk to all these organizations and projects popping up, like the Centurion Project, but others as well, as to what the move is coming up. James says, Daniel Bryan, Alberta's future. Not sure what that means. Charlotte says, my ex's family were Ukrainians from Saskabush, I guess. Great people. The ex, not so much. Well, there's a reason why it's an ex, isn't it?
Yeah.
Todd says,
Well, and Ukrainians, and I would say fundamentally the West was based on Christian values. Ukraine is a fundamentally Christian nation overall, so they have an easy time integrating, and they have the same core fundamental values. And these are the kind of countries that immigration works best from. And this is why the United States was very lucky over its history. A lot of its immigration used to come from Mexico, not as much anymore, but it was Mexico is a Catholic nation, and it had fundamentally aligned moral values. Where you're seeing what's happening in Europe now, it's like water and oil. It's not mixing. The fundamental values are completely different.
yes.
So immigration can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing.
Todd says that guy is big in the Centurions, John, the other John. Yes.
There's a lot of Johns
There's
in the
quite a few
Alberta
Johns.
independence movement.
Yes.
And they're all doing great work, by the way.
Chocolate says, I had a Baba in-law. She checked my hands for calluses the first time I met her. After that, I was in. And for my kids, I will do the same. Hold on. Tal says, share the stream to X again. Thank you so much for that. Because Tal is the one that was always sharing our stream.
Well, and there's a few things I forgot to say in the top of the show. Number one, we have a companion to the show, which is our X account, where I use our X account a little bit different. I put the date and the source of every single article that we do cover. I was going to mention a couple other things. That's good for now.
The X. Sorry. There we go. My eye is acting up again. I'm sorry. Roland, hello, says if he invokes the act, this may go kinetic. Yeah. Hopefully not, though.
I dread to think what's going to happen if he invokes that act. I think he's going to initially pressure that judge behind the scenes to keep staying it. That's why it was so good. Danielle Smith has opened the door to the other question. So there is a secondary path here.
Yeah. And Todd says you should get a hold of Dewey Guy and see if he will do an interview.
Yeah, I think that's the gentleman
look
from
into
the Centurion Project. And yeah, we're a little bit behind reaching out for interviews.
Yes.
We've been extremely busy. Number one, interviewing people, but I'm making sure we're very prepared when we're interviewing. So I'm watching past interviews and making sure I have a firm foundation on who they are so we can give better interviews than we did in the beginning.
Charlotte says, this is just the beginning or the end of the beginning, as Churchill said. Yes. The beginning of the end, I would say.
175 days to the founding of a nation.
Exactly. David Bird, hello, says the 2026 Calgary Stampede is July 3rd to 12th.
Absolutely.
That's going to be very interesting too.
It's going to be fantastic. There's going to be a lot of Alberta independence supporters out there.
And Glenn Gunn says, I'm hoping Rebel has a booth there. I'm hoping a lot of these little projects and different organizations that are forming for the campaign season for the referendum might have, if not booths, people talking to others there as regular citizens.
Well, and I'm sure they're going to have the truck there, the big billboard truck with the screen on the side.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm sure a lot of the reporters are going to be there, whether it's Mocha, Sheila Gunn-Reid, or Tamara Litch.
Yes. But now let's go to Alberta Politics because we have updates of how the other side is doing now with their little
He
campaign.
doesn't discuss federal politics. He only concerns himself with Alberta's independence.
Starting with For Alberta, for Canada. Again, this is that little organization that the NDP has put together to counter Alberta's independence, saying 800 plus volunteers are out across the province today.
And you'll never see more than 20 people on camera at a time. So they're saying there's 800, I guess, across the province. Supposedly they're door knocking. This is a pure propaganda video, but it's good to understand what they're doing and how they're doing it. So.
And how many people did Alberta Independence have? 7,000 plus canvassers.
Yeah.
Saying we love Alberta, we love Canada, and we showed up on a snowy Saturday because we're not willing to let Danielle Smith and her separatist friends mess with the place we call home. Good for you.
It's a movie. Red carpet, the lights on too.
You can
Anytime I
turn
rob, it's
the
the new.
volume down.
Why would they pick that audio? It's horrible.
And there's music that plays over this, but
Yes.
we do have sound dampening, so sometimes music can come out really weird.
It's already pretty bad, so don't worry. We're saving your ears from listening to it.
But as you see, you never see more than about 20 people in a shot, and they're claiming 800. So,
And again,
and I don't
You all
see
have
I don't see
7,000.
Ninchi there. I would love to see Ninchi door knocking. I would love him to knock on our door so I could talk to him. Okay, and you can leave it there. It's replaying now.
I know, but I just wanted to see all the how many there were per shot as you were mentioning it. So that's what we're up against, I guess
Yeah.
we could say.
Well, that's one arm of
one.
what we're up against. That's the NDP and mainly in Calgary, and they're falling apart as we speak. With the new leadership in the NDP, a lot of people are coming over to the UCP, which is fantastic to see. And a lot of people that were within the UCP are now really going over to Alberta Independence in their support. And the Alberta Independence is flooding UCP so we can have a larger say with what goes on within Alberta.
Yes. Now let's go see this from Freedom Calendar saying Alberta is only for strong diesel and gas people. EVs are for sissies.
Yeah, this is a little bit tragic what happened here. A lot of people got stranded for a long time. If you had an EV in this, you probably ran out of battery. I dread to think what happened to all those EVs. Yeah. This is why diesel trucks are important with big gas tanks so you can survive things like this. If anybody was in this traffic jam that is in our audience, let us know about it.
Yeah, Eric Torvaldsen says, this is Alberta at the end of April. I don't want to hear about global warming ever again.
Oh, turn it up.
No, it's all the way.
Oh, okay. And at one point I checked and they were stranded there for something like 12 hours. I don't know eventually when they did get it cleared up, how long it took. There was no update report. So, but I know it was major and a lot of people were posting on social media from that.
It reminds me, do I want to tell this really long story or no?
Yeah, go ahead. Tell a long story there, Nat.
So I went on a road trip with family members from BC to past Calgary. I don't remember where we ended up. I think it was Calgary. But we did the whole road trip through the mountains. And on day 2 or day 1, no, day 2, I'm thinking, we were on a highway close to the ice fields. I think that's what they were called. I don't fully remember. Ice Fields Parkway, I think. And there's like a little restaurant and cafe. But right before that, there was a massive accident, very tragic as well. But it was completely stalled. They were turning vehicles back. It was impossible to go anywhere. And again, we really weren't from there. And my family members from Mexico didn't really know what to do. So we ended up having to sleep in our car on and I forget the name of it was a little like RV park almost and gas station. So we ended up sleeping in our car. Some of my family members were not the youngest, I will say, but we all kind of jammed in together in the car and slept there. And then in the morning at around 5 a.m., they let us know that we could transit the highway to continue on our journey. So we did, but we stopped by that. And again, I forget the name of the cafe that's right in front of or the little restaurant that's right in front of the ice fields. So we stopped there and we got to see the sunrise come up over the ice fields, which was really beautiful. But it reminded me of this because we were stuck in that jam without really knowing what to do for about 6 to 7 hours. And then we had to go sleep in the car.
Yeah, it's a whole nother level. This is pretty common in more rural areas, and I have lived in rural areas. That being said, when the snow conditions are like that, and let's just say your EV runs out of battery, there's no heat in the car, maybe you have a kid, you're running out of diapers. I mean, that turns into a real situation. So hopefully everybody made it out okay. And I haven't heard any major reports of anything, and I'm sure other people within that traffic jam would have helped out.
Yes. And then people did help out when we were in ours. So the Alberta Personalities people that always help.
Where'd you guys use the bathroom?
Again, there was like that little, it was between a kind of like the whistle stop, I guess, because it was a restaurant.
There was a cafe.
Yeah, it was like a cafe and a gas station, etc. So they let people park there and sleep the night there because there was nowhere else to go.
Maybe the cafe needed business and it made the traffic jam every once in a while.
No, it was a horrible accident. It got reported all over the place. But if you remember that, if you were there or near there, then you know what I'm talking about. It was a few years ago. But let's see the tactics that they're already starting to use in the little For Freedom, For Alberta, For Canada campaign, saying the study also found that a majority of Canadians agree that Danielle Smith has betrayed Canada.
And how is this? Because she gets she gets it from both sides. She gets it from the independence movement, and I gave it to her when she muddied the ballot with the 9 questions. I still don't like it, but she cleared it up to a great degree, so I don't give her crap on that anymore. And I like the fact that she opened up the secondary door to the original petition in case the judge keeps staying it. But nothing what she has done says she's on the side of independence. A matter of fact, vocally, she said she's a nationalist and she wants to keep Alberta together with Canada. But she does have the right line. She didn't take the same route Pierre Poilievre did. She said there is democracy within Alberta, and we're going to make sure people can voice their concerns through a referendum ballot on October 19th.
But also note how the For Alberta, For Canada people are saying the majority of Canadians found that Danielle Smith has betrayed Canada. Let's talk about Alberta. Why don't you if you're for Alberta? Because I'm sure the sentiment is quite different, or at least a bit more nuanced within Alberta itself. And we shouldn't really fully care about what the rest of Canada thinks at this point.
You're a bit smarter than me, Nat. I didn't say it said Canada. Why? I just assumed it said Alberta.
Yeah. So who cares? But that's the best they got, I guess, right now for their little propaganda campaign against independence.
They want
to suffer.
They have to be doing private polling within Canada, within Alberta, to try to figure out a line of attack and the best arguments that are going to work. The problem is any economics arguments they give, they're easily countered and better economics arguments are able to be given by the independence movement. Any cultural arguments or historical arguments they give are almost instantly null and void when you look at the last 10 years of Canada and how they've tried to erase their history. Maybe they're thinking the quieter they are, the better it is. But I mean, I don't really see a good strategy other than him possibly saying there's foreign interference and engaging with the Emergencies Act. I've always said that was going to be his main strategy, but
we already got a comment saying that I don't remember what video saying that we are foreign interference as well. And one of those channels that are getting paid off. We don't make almost any money except for your kind donations. So
Mark Carney is foreign.
That they've started also.
Mark Carney is foreign interference. And that being said, maybe if he didn't want me to speak up and millions of other Canadians that have already left the country to speak up, you shouldn't have put his boot in our neck, became authoritarian under Trudeau, and now continuing it under Mark Carney. Because now you are not going to shut me up. I'm going to go from Alberta to Saskatchewan, and hell, I'm even going to support Quebec if they get their shit going.
And BC.
Sorry for my language.
And BC as well, because again, we were pushed out of that one. But Sharon Stubbs says, shocking. Liberal Energy Minister will not rule out majority Beijing ownership of strategic Canadian resources, because of course not, that's what they're actually doing. Last year, Mark Carney called Communist Beijing Canada's top security threat. Now he opens the door to Beijing EVs in the snow, again, ships out rare earths and allows foreign control of Canada's resources. I guess the Prime Minister doesn't seem to think Beijing, that spies on Canadians, is Canada's biggest security threat anymore. What a bait and switch. No, because now, insanely enough, they continue to say that the US is the biggest threat to Canada, not its best and most strategic trading partner. But
let me tell you how this works, because Mexico has already gone through this, and now we're trying to clear out a lot of the Chinese manufacturing and replace it with a lot of American manufacturing and stuff like that. What happens when you bring in EVs from China? They assemble 90% of it in China, they ship it over to Canada, and they finish the last 10%. So it doesn't create the kind of jobs you want. They're not using Canadian steel. They're going to be using Chinese steel in China and shipping over a 90% completed product. This is not a good deal for Canada. Mark Carney is making deals with countries that it's benefiting them, and it's not having a big benefit for Canada itself. He needs to focus on the USMCA agreement.
And also a lower grade steel, which is a lower grade overall production, which is what they use in China. And we've seen the effects of that here in Mexico as cars do start catching fire. And also when they do crash, they get completely crushed.
It's just easy for you to rule out, as minister concerned about Canada's security and sovereignty,
So-
that you would
so
rule
what-
out.
what
Can I
we-
just actually finish my question?
Okay, sure.
Would you rule out majority Chinese ownership of Canadian resource development, say in oil and gas or critical minerals?
So what we have is we have the Investment Canada Act. We have the ability to look at any new investment in the country. We'll evaluate it against the realities of the time, and if we deem it a net benefit to Canada, it would proceed.
But
We
since the
have
Prime Minister said
Chinese
China is
we
Canada's
have
greatest
Chinese
security
ownership.
threat.
China's a major owner in LNG Canada 1. In that
Is
situation,
it a threat?
Folks, that's the time for this. Go on.
Is it just easy for
We'll never know.
That's the time. You need to clear
That
out.
is the time.
You need to be clearing out any major Chinese investments within Alberta once Alberta becomes an independent nation, period.
Exactly. But now we'll go back into your comments and then we'll head over to what's the next segment? Alberta Personalities.
Yeah.
There we go. Hold on. Glenn Gunn says with their TV truck, Rebel News. Yeah, and I really do hope they start circling around during the Calgary Stampede as well.
Yeah.
Talatalk says Westerner Days in Red Deer is the week after the Stampede. And there's, again, as the summer comes up, there's a lot of events that people can take advantage of and have those citizen-on-citizen conversations and debates as well. Again, always being very polite and kind and being the bigger people. Because they certainly will not be, and I can assure you that. Glengon says millions show up to the Stampede. Yep, they do.
And it gets major international coverage. I hope this is the coming out party for Alberta independence on an international stage, because to this point, the government's kind of tried to ignore it or been fairly quiet about it. Yes, there's new news articles and print articles coming out here or there, but they've tried to keep this thing under wraps and they've done a fairly good job. So hopefully during the Stampede, when there's major international media, we really make an effort as Alberta content creators, people that are in support of the Alberta independence movement, to talk to them and to reach out to American and international content creators as well.
Todd says audio sucks compared to our videos. Yes, it does. Why would they pick that song, especially when it's mostly older people that are there? Todd says, oh, hold on. Oh, I know I lost it, but someone said it was 12 hours. 12 hours,
and that's what I had heard.
Here, Glengon says over 12 hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard it was over 12 hours, and I didn't hear any final updates because I was going to give a second story to that. But
So
12
let us know-
hours
let
is
us know.
bad, but it's not too bad. It does suck. It was in the snow, though.
Yes.
But
Especially if you run out of gas, run out of food, etc., have
Yeah.
to go to the bathroom. Those are some of the most dangerous situations. I look at a lot of survival camping stuff, and those are some of the most dangerous situations when you're stuck in snow and you either have to leave or you run out of X, Y, Z.
people in Calgary understand
I
you
know.
should have some kind of supply, though.
Because
Not
they're-
just Calgary, I mean Alberta in general.
Yeah, Albertans are better built. Todd says, yeah, Icefields Parkway up 93. Yes, that one. Exactly. Going on says Columbia Icefields. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
We took a ton of pictures as we were freezing at 5 a.m. in the morning. Todd says, near Parker's Ridge, always stuff going on in that highway. And it was it's one of those curves that's very, very cerrada, closed.
Yeah.
And so I think someone, unfortunately, didn't calculate properly. Albert Twitch says the Crossing Cafe, probably. I'll try to look into the map today and the pictures and try to figure out where we were. Glenn says, even buses rolling down the ice field. Yeah. Todd says probably at the 9312 junction, Davy Thompson Highway, probably. Alva Twitch says she has been surprisingly accommodating. Danielle Smith.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I know a lot of people give her a lot of flack, and sometimes they give me flack because I appreciate what she's doing. She's trying to let democracy go forward. And as long as a question about independence gets on that ballot on October 19th, she's not going to lose any support no matter which way the vote goes. As long as she plays this by the lines of democracy and doesn't pick a side, I think that's her best play going forward.
And her best play is saying, I want to uphold democracy and I want to make sure that the citizens are heard. And all I'm doing is I'm for democracy, not for either side.
No, she has said she is a nationalist, and I do understand that.
But she can move towards saying.
Are you done?
Yes, interrupting you. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Get the whole camera
we can continue we continue to go on there, Nat.
He doesn't like when things don't go to plan. Todd says,
I don't have a plan. I'm going off the cuff here.
He doesn't know how to do that. Todd says, I take the David Thompson Highway to the Rockies all the time, past the David Thompson Resort where I rock and ice climb. Ice climbing. Wow. That is, I'm guessing, pretty dangerous. I don't know.
Oh, it's definitely dangerous.
Yeah. DeBilver, hello, says, hi, Nat and Guy. Hello, thank you for being here. Glenn Gunn says she can't have the province split. We cannot have Nenshi in.
Absolutely. And that's the big point here. I understand she has to say she's a nationalist, but it's because Pierre Poilievre has threatened kicking anybody out that supports Alberta independence. So as long as she's letting democracy go forward and she's opening doors as others are potentially shutting, like what's going on in the state in the court, now there's another pivot move here, which is absolutely fantastic.
And Troglodyte says Chinese steel is crap or bad. As soon as we switched to Chinese nails, it was like hitting plasticine bent so easily. And again, you should watch what happens to cars when they crash.
Yeah, pig steel.
Todd says Abraham Lake and Mountains. Yes, my favorite mountain, the slabs hidden crack trad climb. Cool. Troglodyte says remember the ammo, that's my motto. And Tull says, my family lived just off of Bighorn Dam job site during construction in 71-72. I went to grade 3 in Nordegg. Cool.
Oh, right on.
Alva Twitch says, wasn't there a Bigfoot sighting during its construction? Don't start him on the Bigfoot stuff.
There's always a Bigfoot sighting in Alberta because all the lane lines cross through Alberta. It's one of the big energy points in the entire globe. Okay.
You get to see it energy point if you keep talking about Bigfoot and Sasquatch. Todd says, Chinese steel is crap. I can attest as a mechanic, heavy duty. Exactly. And we need more people, more mechanics specifically, and people that do have to work with these materials to stand up and say and show and demonstrate how bad they are.
Well, and this is why it's so important to go from minerals out the ground right to finished product and all the in-between stages as well, whether it's refining or smelting or whatever it's going to be. We need to make sure we're 100% self-sufficient within Alberta. Now, that might cost a little bit more and it might take a little bit longer to get there, but it's the right route and it allows you to, number one, pivot, but to resist any economic forces coming in from globalization. Mm-hmm. If the global economy takes a dip, but you have an internalized economy, you're going to be safe. And if you do make any external trade, it should just go to help benefit the internal economy of Alberta.
Yeah. And Glengon says, wait for the Alberta flags at the Calgary Stampede. It will be epic. And yes, it will. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure a lot of you will be there or outside or during events waving those big blue, beautiful flags. That's a mouthful. Tal says, probably a few more more than a few sightings. There was lots of beer and rye involved, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I hope a lot of people, when they wave their Alberta flags at this Calgary Stampede, will put a little thing that says independence on there in big letters so people understand we're not just supporting Alberta, we're supporting Alberta independence, because there's going to be a lot of cameras there from national media in Canada, and they're going to want to reframe it if it's just Alberta flags. But if it's Alberta flags that say independence, it's going to really send a message to the international community, and it's going to make international media and content creators that are there start asking questions. What is this independence movement?
Exactly. Justin GP says, we're doing it live, guy. Doing it live. And yes, let's go. Let's do it.
Well, we were watching him the other day as well. That's Bill
O'Reilly.
Oh, Bill O'Reilly. Yeah, he looked really old. We haven't seen him in quite a while.
Not that I'm a huge fan of him, but yeah. That clip is...
But my grandmother used to watch him religiously, so I remember when I was a kid having to watch him.
But let's go into the Alberta personality section again. All content creators or personalities that are helping in one way or another Alberta's independence.
But they need to understand that Albertans are done, we're leaving, and there's no more conversation to be had. I know that's upsetting to people.
And starting with highlighting Liam Out Loud, more of a, I would say, national content creator, but he does a lot of nuanced takes and looks really in-depth in really short videos and is able to condense a lot of information into a palatable, shorter video. This is a bit longer. I don't think we'll watch it all. But let's see. And says, flashback to when CBC, of course, the paid propaganda arm of the federal government, wrote me off as a young, frustrated male. Since then, my audience has grown substantially, so allow me to reintroduce myself. And I would suggest you go follow him because of the nuanced takes, not specifically on Alberta. I hope he does speak about it more, but
he's carrying water for us when any content creator or national politician that focus is in on the misdirection of Canada and all the corruption and the direction Mark Carney is taking the country is helping Alberta independence indirectly, even if they don't talk about Alberta independence.
Well, it looks like I've caught the attention of the Chinese Broadcasting Corporation, better known as the CBC. That's what that stands for! In yet another totally unforeseeable twist, the CBC is back at it trying to terrify its core audience, elderly Canadians just waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel. With wheelchairs parked in front of the state broadcaster by overworked Filipino nurses who regret moving to a tax farm buried in snow half the year, the mission is simple. Brainwash the nursing home population like toddlers drooling in front of Paw Patrol. How did the CBC, a $1.4 billion taxpayer-funded liberal propaganda machine, describe conservatives while flashing my face across the screen?
They're young, male, and frustrated.
Let's break these labels down one by one. First up,
and
young.
Pause it for a minute.
Honestly,
and that's the same thing they're trying to do to the Fringe. They're trying to broadcast his image across there. Number one, but number two, it is a shame how many people are just throwing their parents in old folks' home. And it used to be, we used to have multi-generational living. You used to take care of your parents to the end. The matriarch of the family became very important when they entered old age because they could teach the youth and their grandchildren a lot.
And
then you didn't have to pay as much for daycare, and the state wasn't raising your kids. Your grandmother, your grandfather, and people that actually love and want the best for your children were the ones helping raising them.
Yes, and I will say, I mean, one of the reasons I do like being back here in Mexico is that is almost unthinkable. Unless in very, very specific circumstances, most families live and help each other out until the end. And I do wish at least Alberta will look back into that.
Take it, with a growing patch of grays and a forehead expanding like government spending that I can't quite pretend is natural anymore, I'm one existential crisis away from buying a motorcycle and developing a crippling gambling addiction to cope with my midlife crisis. But compared to the CBC's target demographic, I guess young still fits. Secondly, male. Of course, the CBC would give people biological labels after spending the last decade gaslighting the public into joining a delusional gender cult where
Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is a man.
So, pardon the detour while I address the absurdity of a gender debate they've done more than anyone to inflame. A man is simply a former boy who's taken full responsibility for his life without blaming society or others for his shortcomings. The difference between a man and a boy, or just a male, is the strength, courage, and grit to not only face life's inevitable hardships, but be...
You can leave it there.
Well, that bit was important. Okay.
And I do highly recommend it. Yeah. And if we can go back to it. And if we can go to his name so I can recommend him.
Liam Out Loud.
Yeah, I recommend going to subscribe to him because he is talking not only about the direction Canada is going, but a lot of the first principles we want to instill in Alberta, that Canada is really trying to instill those opposite values.
Yes, and forget about what it used to be.
Yeah.
And that is one of the cultural reasons why Alberta wants its independence, and one of the ones that they can't counter because they themselves were the ones that were trying to erase everything in history and tradition and everything else that once made Canada good or great or something to be worthy of defending, but now Alberta retains and remains that way. But moving on to the Elevate report, saying, quote, O'Toole says, Poilievre needs to moderate his positions in order to beat Carney. Get out of here. The establishment feels so threatened that they are now trying to weaponize former Conservative leaders, whom they demonized, by the way, to slow Pierre down.
Yeah, and I'm coming around on national Conservative content creators that won't talk about independence. They're going even harder at Mark Carney and National Canada, which means we don't have to talk about it as much. We can start focusing on our vision for Alberta independence, our first principles, talk about the Constitution and other things like that. Well, we allow national Conservative content creators to carry the weight about talking about the misdirection of Canada, which is absolutely fantastic. The fact that we're in a position that we can focus on the positive and let people that don't necessarily support Alberta independence focus on the negative is a great benefit to us.
Mm-hmm.
O'Toole says Poilievre needs to moderate positions to compete with Carney. You sound like a liberal, man. You sound like the media who wants Poilievre to be less effective. Because guess what, O'Toole? Didn't you do that? Didn't you do that? Didn't you moderate your positions in order to compete with Trudeau to try and win in 2021? Didn't you do that? Guess what they called you anyways? They called you Trumpian anyways. So get out of my face that he needs to moderate his positions. No. We keep putting the pedal to the metal, keep putting your foot down, moving forward, because they are terrified. We're over the target and we're not doing anything. They're even using you to try and get us to shut up. Not going to happen.
And
shut up and go enjoy your advisory board council. It does.
And I wouldn't say national Conservative content creators are necessarily over the target because they don't have any way to enact change right now for a minimum of another 3 years. And by that time, Canada's in shambles. Right now, Alberta independence is the one over the target because we can enact change and massive change almost overnight. 175 days to the founding of a new nation.
And letting as you say, national Conservatives and the content creators continue to carry water and exemplify the very negative aspects as the Alberta independence, talking points, debates, etc., can show that spark of hope and that positivity of being able to escape the insane asylum that a lot of people still want to remain within and fight to be in.
And I think as the Alberta independence debate becomes very positive on the Alberta independence side, you're going to see a lot of nationalists that are maybe tired of hearing so many complaints from national Conservatives day after day after day where they can't effect change, say, this independence thing's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. But let's see what the CBC's opinion is right now, because it might be shifting. Table Salt says, quote, left-wing CBC pundit can't hold back on Carney, saying he has a bit of an authoritarian streak and no one wants to say anything critical about him. I find it very troubling. So we'll see how long she stays on.
Well, and there's a little bit of fracturing with people that are climate zealots and other things that Carney is trying to moderate. And in order to moderate, what he's doing is he's replacing some of these people with conservatives and floor crossers, people like Aaron O'Toole and Jason Kenney as well, finding new mouthpieces and new ways to make a new coalition. So
I think it's a little bit much. Add 2 Liberal MPs to mostly every committee that has a Liberal chair, because you want to ensure that you have a natural majority without asking the chair to weigh in. Right. Then on committees where they have an opposition chair, the Liberals are also giving themselves an extra person, so they also have a much larger majority on those committees. I could see them wanting to have 1 extra MP on these committees, but 2, I mean, come on. And I do think you have to peel back the layers a little bit. This prime minister definitely has an authoritarian streak. We've seen this with all types of legislation. I was struck after the by-election when he referred to his MPs in English as his deputies. At first he was saying that. I thought it was just an error in translation. He means député, and then he's just saying it in English. But then he keeps repeating it. So I'm starting to wonder if he actually thinks members of parliament are his deputies to do his bidding in the House of Commons, which is not their job.
Maybe he's just super bilingual all of a sudden. We don't
No. And there's everybody is does not want to say.
Oh, it's almost over. You can actually continue, and then
anything critical about this prime minister. It's quite shocking in this town, I have to say. So I find it very troubling that the Liberals are going down this road.
And there is some fracturing going on in Mark Carney's coalition there. That being said, he's finding new people to replace these old people every day, and he's definitely making a ton of backroom deals.
But I also think...
But I do like to hear it when a liberal actually comes out and says he's authoritarian, because everybody sees it at this point.
But because everybody sees it, I think it might just be a tactic to kind of quell those, like to get it out there a little bit, so the tensions kind of cool down. As we see, even liberal voters were not very happy that he was accepting in Marilyn Gladu, who initially was very anti-abortion and against a lot of the policies from the liberals. We saw the liberals come out and say, no, we don't want these people. We don't want to associate with these people because they have horrible, terrible opinions. So we're seeing on both sides people complain. So maybe because it is the propaganda arm of the federal government, the CBC is, and mainstream media, they're letting a little bit of steam kind of let out, and those opinions to go out there, like to be in front of them instead of behind them, and then just continue on with the propaganda and narrative.
Yeah, but you have to understand propaganda and the narrative, and that is, that might work in national Canada to let out some steam, but then there's shows like us, and there's an entire separate political entity and force within Canada right now, and that's the Alberta independence movement, and clips like this are absolutely fantastic for Alberta independence.
Of course.
I mean, national politics really does matter right now, because as they're trying to frame things, they're framing it for a national stage, but they're having a real tough time because there's this whole referendum taking place within Alberta that really messes up their framing. And a lot of what they say and they do are actually used within the Alberta independence movement to propel the founding of a nation.
Yeah. Glenn Gunn says there was a Bigfoot sighting everywhere in Alberta, as you just said, because what is it? Cross lines? What do you call them?
The ley lines.
Whatever.
The energy lines.
Don't.
And if you don't know about the time machine in Disneyland with the Ferris wheel, very interesting.
Lyle Norman says Alberta has a lot of big events: Calgary Stampede, Ponoka Stampede, Grand Prairie Stampede, CFR in Edmonton, Canadian Finals Rodeo. The truck wagon circuit is big here too. And again, as I said, there's a lot of things going into the summer that can be taken advantage of as well. Alba says, yes, pretty much. And Alba Twitch also says, oh, interesting. Didn't know about the ley line thing. Nobody knows about that because it's not a thing.
A lot of people, it is a thing. First of all, it is a thing. 100% it's a thing.
Look how insane you look.
What? You look insane.
Charlie Knight says, I still have the silver dollar I won at the Stampede back in the late 60s in one of those claw digger machine games. Oh, that's good. That's cute. Albert Twitch says, I found the story. 5 workers observed a massive hairy figure for half an hour, estimated 12 foot. It was probably one of the other workers that had to change or something.
One day you'll be a believer. 2027 is supposed to be the big year, by the way.
Okay. Edward says, do the Alberta Sasquatch go down to Texas to retire?
No, I think they're from separate parts of inner Earth there. Because there's multiple layers within the Earth.
Albert Twitch says, hope so. The winters can be hard on the old fella. Cesar Roman says, from what I heard, there was an amendment to Section 4 of the Referendum Act passed in December 25, giving Alberta government exclusive rights to ignore a successful referendum. You may want to investigate. It's interesting that I haven't really heard some of the bigger spokespeople talk about that yet. Or maybe I haven't.
We'll see what happens when the referendum goes through. We vote for independence and then they try to F around. They will find out. I'm expecting declaration of universal secession at that point, and for Donald Trump to recognize it. So if they want to try to pull some trick like that, there's going to be a lot of upset people, and a declaration of unilateral secession is going to carry a lot of weight. And I will say, they were going over, it was Jason Levine's show, actually. Fantastic if you haven't watched it, by the way. He was interviewing a guest, and they were talking about some of the more recent independence movements around the globe. And 2 of them actually didn't even have a legal pathway to independence, yet they were able to get it into a vote. And once that vote took place, they actually became an independent nation.
Cool. Tal says,
so, I mean, what I'm trying to say is Alberta independence has a legal pathway. So it's way ahead of the horse race.
Yeah. Tal says, they get a Kokanee commercial endorsement and then retire. I'm guessing the Bigfoots or Sasquatch.
Yeah, what I hear is they're also a migratory
species.
Yeah, species. Or never mind.
Todd says, interview Dewey Rome's in Toronto guy. Try to get him on anyways. We'll try.
You will try.
Yes. Todd
Maybe I'll write it down when you keep talking there.
Todd Talk says this is getting into Art Bell theory. Yes. And
I
Twitch
love
says,
Art Bell.
yeah, the grandparents would help raise the kids. Are we still talking about Sasquatches? Or we're talking about the division and the breakdown of the family into the nuclear family instead of the extended family that is the way it used to work, and people learning from each other throughout multiple different generations instead of putting their older parents in old folks home and forgetting about them.
We need to learn from the Sasquatch. They still do that.
Albert Twitch says, we know now these early developmental years are critical for a kid.
Yeah.
You really want an extra set of parents raising them. Exactly.
And I don't know.
And family raising them, not some stranger off somewhere in a kindergarten.
I don't know how we got to the point where we're throwing our grandmothers and grandfathers into old folks' home, trying to raise children, going to work full time, and then giving our children to the state. There's an obvious solution. Move your parents back into the home, take care of them, have them help take care of your children as well. This gives everybody a sense of importance. I mean, a lot of people as they get older have a sense of, because they retire from their career, they want something, and helping to raise the children really gives them a sense of belonging and purpose.
But also for the children, it helps to be able to interact with
yes.
their grandparents and older people as well, multiple different generations, multiple people of different ages, but that actually care for them, not some stranger that is getting paid to look after them and not show that true bond and love that children should have, especially in the early stages.
And I've known a lot of parents and grandparents that didn't do such a good job with their children, but learned a lot of the mistakes. And then when they got to interact with their grandchildren, they were absolutely fantastic grandparents because they learned over time.
And I will always advocate for homeschooling, but especially from year 0 to year about 4, children don't really need that much interaction with other children. They need interaction with their parents, but also their wider extended family, because that really does create the core of a strong, and I am going to sound like a liberal here, but the core of a strong identity, but in the true sense of the word.
Yeah.
I look a lot into this. Sorry. I'm with this and homeschooling and children, I'm like you with the Sasquatches. So I always love talking about it, but I know it bores people to death. Rage Against Machine. Hello,
and just in case, because we do have a lot of listeners, the reason I talk about so much about Sasquatches and UFOs, and it's a sub interest that comes up on the show. It's every night before bed. I need to decompress from politics because I do about 10 hours of politics, gathering stories, then talking about it twice a day, and then interviewing and doing research. So I need something to decompress, and paranormal activity, Sasquatch, werewolves, it helps me decompress.
For some reason.
I ask because it's interesting.
I watch either education stuff about education and educating the young, or cooking, or random people that go on vacations, etc. Rage Against Machine says implementing strong values at an early age is critical. It is critical, and we have completely forgotten about that, especially wanting to do it ourselves instead of handing that task, important and beautiful task, off to someone that's just getting paid to do it.
What's going on here? Like, the parents go off to work, and then the state instills those first principles and values into your children. And then when your children become teenagers and you haven't been involved in their life, people are wondering what happened, where did I go wrong, this or that. We need to get back to where one parent can financially sustain a home, so the second parent can kind of stay home, hopefully raise children, and grandparents can be involved as well. This is critically important. The state wants to take away parental rights, so they can be the parents and they can parent your children.
And you can't do that. You can't move to a one-income household model if you continue to import the cheapest wage earners that you can, and continue to give those super low and push out the people that could be earning a lot more by just continuing to hire those that are at the cheapest rate.
There are some simple policies we can enact, like no property tax. So once you absolutely buy a home and you pay it off, it's much easier for one income to actually raise a household or supply a household. Let's go into Canadian politics, Alberta's Canada, if we can.
And we call it Alberta's Canada because Alberta is holding up the rest of Canada. And as soon as it becomes independent, Canada will further fall. It's already falling, but it will precipitated for further downfall. But before that, real Stephen Jensen, thank you so much, says for the $5 super chat, saying what?
And if there are any super chats, we always stop the show and read the super chats. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes. Says, when my last parent passed, what caught me off guard was that I was now the oldest patriarch of the entire family. Weird feeling. But also, again, this is natural and it's good. And it's good to be able to have those different roles throughout your life. And if you decide or someone decides to put you in a home eventually, once you reach your older age, then you don't get to have that last bit of roles that you used to get and that are also helpful to the rest of the family.
Well, and there's less and less a sense of family in society now.
And less importance is given to the family.
Which is not a good thing. And we need to really bring back that sense of family and community within Alberta once it gets its independence.
Yes. But now let's go into Alberta's Canada. Thank you so much again, Stephen Jensen, for that. But let's go.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people.
Starting with, hold on. I always mess up my buttons. Starting with Mr. Sunshine Baby saying, Canada is a nation in decline. It is to the point that officers are roaming the streets of Toronto with rifles to protect residents.
And this is the second or third story we've shown like this. And this is how people roam around, or this is how the federal police force roams around in Mexico. Canada is turning into Mexico when you start doing stuff like this. You shouldn't have to do this. And the reason you're having to do it is you're importing large populations that aren't mixing well with your natural population that is already there. We're seeing grape crimes go up, violent crimes go up, everything else go up.
So we'll go up in twos. Just do a foot patrol around Rogers Center. You guys be with me. Task Force Guardian is a new initiative by the Toronto Police Service. The purpose of this initiative is to have officers, uniformed patrol officers, carrying long guns, doing high visibility patrols, and it's basically enhancing public safety in the communities. The purpose of this is just a deterrent in case any kind of imminent threat is present. It also gives us the capacity to rapidly deploy to any location so that if any kind of threat takes place, we're here to respond. If you look around the world, there's a lot of threats happening around the world in different cities and stuff. So really, for us to be here, we want to be prepared. And prepared in case something happens. And in the event of that, we have the capabilities with this presence to respond. We're very approachable. We're here to answer any questions from the public. And really what it is, an engaging conversation. It puts that trust in the community. The main message is 100% public safety. What do you think? Right on.
Because they've taken away the trust in the community by having people that don't care about that community come in droves.
Why do you need somebody in full SWAT gear? Just have a regular police officer with his regular uniform, regular badge and gun, just going around being community liaisons as well. I mean, that would work a lot better than having guys in full-on SWAT uniform there.
Because you've let things get that bad.
I don't think it sends the right message whatsoever.
No. And it shows how mismanaged everything has gotten on purpose, because it is through their own policies, both from Toronto itself and Ontario itself, but also the federal government. It's through their own policies that they've gotten to this point where they have to explain it away.
By the time these officers actually respond to what's going on, the crime's already been committed. And this is why I'm very much in favor of concealed carry and things like this. In a high trust society, you can trust your citizens to have concealed carry and actually follow the law and actually be able to prevent crime. Criminals are less likely to commit crimes if they know they have an armed population kind of watching each other's back.
And there's been study after study proving this, but they've been hidden conveniently, both by the U.S. government, but also, not the current one, but by the Canadian government specifically as well.
Okay.
Oh, and I will say also, this might get me probably canceled or might anger people.
Maybe save it for RUMBLE.
No, but I don't fully agree to put women in positions where they're first to harm or first to potential harm either. That's feminism for you. But the National Post says an ethics report just called on Mark Carney to sell his investments. Here's why it likely won't happen. It won't happen.
If it was going to happen, it would have happened before he got into power. Yeah. He's got a blind trust. The American administration was asked about this. They said there's no such thing as a blind trust. That's why you're supposed to sell off your assets before you go into politics. This is absolutely ridiculous. The level of transparency that's just the level of corruption that's just done out in the open by Mark Carney time and time again, and how Canadians are voting for this is beyond me. Radical transparency needs to be installed, not just in politics, but within the corporate environment as well, within Alberta once it gets its independence.
Thank you so much to Stephen Jensen again for the $5 super chat, saying all in the name of public safety when they caused the problem in the first place. They're programming the people to accept this as normal. Exactly.
And we need to have
the little happy music on the background.
We need to have reverse programming, have people take firearms safety courses within high school, have them going to the shooting range in high school, make it a normal thing to have responsible firearm ownership and concealed carry. So your police force doesn't have to be everywhere at every time, because that's going to be impossible. By the time a 911 call is made and the officer gets out there, the criminal is long gone.
Mismanaged society turns into mismanaged life.
Well, although trust society is a society the government gets a lot of control over, that's why they like it.
Exactly.
We need a high trust society where the population takes a lot of responsibility and ownership, not just for their own government, but for each other.
But also, and this kind of leads into this story, which is horrible, from Oka Bizdergan, who's been doing a fantastic job, as I mentioned, being an independent journalist and actually doing journalism, which most people have forgotten how to do, saying, this is horrible, breaking Canadian professor arrested after questioning residential school mass grave claims. The University of Lethbridge in Alberta, Canada, has trespassed Dr. Francis Widdowson, who has been questioning the validity of claims that mass graves of Indigenous students were found in Kamloops, BC. We still have no evidence to that fact.
And she's been doing similar things in colleges and universities in British Columbia as well, intentionally going out and protest with a sign or starting conversations on campus, and she's being counter-protest. She's been arrested a couple times, but she's being arrested for speech laws, not actually doing something that she should be arrested for. This is completely inappropriate what's happening, and the fact that it's happening in Alberta needs to be a wake-up call.
Widdowson was arrested by Lethbridge police this afternoon after she came to the university cafeteria to discuss the topic with a student. And
she sat down in a cafeteria to have an open dialogue with a student that was willingly sitting down with her. They're going to have footage of this right here.
And universities are supposed to be for that, to have those debates, to question knowledge, to further knowledge. But no, now they're just indoctrination centers.
This is what you've done, University of Lethbridge.
Breaking news. Lethbridge police has just arrested Francis Widdowson.
The remains of 215 children.
Francis Widdowson, a former university professor who has been critical of the residential school mass grave allegations, saying that there is no proof, and who came to the University of Lethbridge, Alberta, to discuss the issue with a student, has been arrested by police at the direction of the University of Lethbridge, which says her views are unwelcomed on campus.
So if you can't scan for organic material, how do you scan for organic material? You can't.
So, in your view, let me get this. This is what you history of epistemology. You read back what you think the person's argument is that you need to have evidence to claim.
This is the exact conversation she was having at the University of Lethbridge in Alberta. They said this is illegal. You're not allowed to have this conversation, and arrested her for it. Absolutely ridiculous. It's time to wake up, Alberta. We need to get control of our education system again. The fact that the Albertan police are enacting legislation like this and laws against people for having open conversations is a bridge way too far.
It's at a university, crying out loud.
The remains of 215 children have been confirmed.
Exactly.
And your argument is that GPR, having hits on a GPR machine, is not evidence because it could be. It's not showing that there's remains. It's showing that there's just some kind of disturbance in the soil.
Yes, it's grounds for continuance of search of evidence.
Yes. And so what about the knowledge? You've heard about I think there's 3 or 4 pieces of evidence that were provided to suggest that there were remains that were confirmed. There was the knowledge keepers, the position of the knowledge keepers that children remembered being woken up in the 6 years old, youngest 6 years old, remember being woken up in the middle of the night to dig graves in the apple orchard.
Francis?
Yep.
Sorry, gentlemen, are here to see you. Francis, Constable hands with City Police, okay? Yep. You had a trespass order not to be here. We warned you yesterday. Okay, right now you're under arrest for trespassing, okay?
Yep.
Go ahead and stand up for us.
I'm not going to say.
And pause it. This is the City Police. This isn't even the RCMP, I believe, so.
She's getting trespassed.
Because she was trespassed from the day before for having a similar conversation.
Conversation again.
Yeah.
One this way. Don't bring it back. If you walk, that would be great. Francis, what are your thoughts? Why are you being arrested?
Being arrested because the University of Lethbridge has completely failed in its academic mission. It allows for falsehoods to be perpetuated on this campus, specifically the remains of 10 or 15
Pause
children.
it for a minute. She's been having conversations like this all around Canada, and Rebel News has been doing a great job by attaching a reporter to her when she does go to these universities. Similar incidents happen at multiple universities and college within British Columbia. It was actually primarily in British Columbia where she was doing this protest. I didn't think they were going to arrest her when she came to Alberta, to be honest with you. This is shocking.
That's where we're at.
Have not been confirmed at the Kamloops City Residential School. This is evidence of its use for genocide, like they claim that Canada was a genocidal country. And what happened was that was found not to be true. We still have this being perpetuated by the University of Lethbridge professors, and that has been
Okay, you can leave it there. If you want to see the whole report, go back to it really quick. I highly recommend going to Mocha's account. We should have also put him in Personality Politics because anybody that's not subscribed to him, you can hit our subscribe button as well.
Oh, we're following him.
Huh?
We already follow.
Oh, we already follow him, but why did it say subscribe?
Because that's to pay him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. I feel like he's one of the. I feel like he's the biggest asset within Rebel News that's underutilized.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's still connected to Rebel News fully. I think this is his independent project, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his independent
because I
reporting
reported on
himself.
an article that he did for Rebel News the other day, though.
Yeah, I think he's still connected, but this specifically is he himself doing investigative journalism, going out there. But I was going to say, this is insane, especially at a university that, again, is supposed to be the place where you have these debates, where you have these discussions, where you further knowledge. Even if you disagree with Francis or with anybody, this shouldn't be the treatment, especially at a university, at a place of learning and of discovery and of blah, 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 everything else they say, because it's not like she was being violent or she was, well, according to them, words are violent. So in a way, they're trying to justify it that way. But the only thing that she has been trying to do is to have those conversations with people that disagree. So that should be encouraged. It should not be a jailable or a trespassable offense.
Yeah.
It should enrage everybody that cares about the truth.
Okay. Do we have any more? No,
Yeah.
that's the last story in that section, I believe. Okay, let's go into comments, and then we're going to go into Alberta and the world.
Yes, we will. Hold on 1 second. Let me find where we are. Dill Bilber says, moved from Calgary to Ontario to help my daughter look after 3 boys. Now they are 17 to 12. They don't need me moving back to Calgary.
Fantastic
and that's great.
to hear. And it's more than understandable that people have to leave Canada or the world to go help with parents, friends, things like that. People do have responsibilities.
And that you had to go to Ontario. But it's great to hear that you still kept that role as well, and you did help raise as well.
Yeah, and it's good that like people from Alberta are spread out and they are in different provinces, and I'm sure they're having conversations about Alberta independence and hopefully changing people's minds.
Sean says, good morning, guys. Good morning. Thank you for being here, Sean.
You must be on night shift.
Lyle Norman says, PJ the Belt just said Carney lost the gun grab. I'll have to watch him after your show.
Absolutely.
We'll look into it.
PJ the Belt's been doing great reporting. I don't know if he's lost the gun grab. I think he's going to make a second run at it at some point, but this first run was definitely a failure.
Yes. Sean says, do you know Walt's frozen head is below the Matterhorn at Disneyland, guy? Again, that's a kind of a theory, but I did know. I've looked into it quite a bit.
There's a show that I watched called The Confessionals. Really good, especially the cinematography they do with the interviews. It's probably the best cinematography for any conspiracy show, but any show in general. But he did one episode about, it was an audio only episode though, which was about the time machine within Disneyland, not Disney World, and the way they designed the park in a bowl-like feature. It was very interesting if you're into conspiracies.
Sure it was. Tall Talk says FMC has gotten rotten rich by adding zero value to any public position he was ever anointed to. And was anointed. Rage says, really, that's crazy. And Todd Schroeder said,
it must be about the time machine he's talking.
Todd says, we all look insane to Karens. Yes. Justin GP says, love it when you guys disagree about the guy with big feet. the existence.
He's got a lot of support up in Alberta, so
Roland says,
he's definitely voting for independence on October 19th.
Tala says, PJ always has good content. Yes, and we'll look into it as well. Maybe talk about it tomorrow too. Rage Against Machine says, great interview with Tamara Lich. Well done, you two. Thank you so much. And it was a great conversation, and it was amazing to have her on because, as we mentioned there, we keep mentioning, this whole channel started during and because of the Freedom Convoy, because we wanted to speak up and we didn't see any other better avenue to do so. And then when we saw that the government would start coming after us if we continued to try to tell the truth, that is when we decided Canada is no longer for us and we gotta escape.
Absolutely. And we interviewed Chris Scott today. It was a fantastic interview, but I didn't know that in the ins and outs of his entire story. And when I was doing research before we interviewed him, it was very interesting. And a lot of the ordeal he went through, not only during the truckers convoy, but even after.
Yeah. Todd says, you learn from your grandpa, then look after your grandparents when they are older. And also we've lost that responsibility amongst young people too. The caring for the matriarchs and patriarchs of the family, we've lost that as well. People don't care about their families anymore.
It's a simple sign of respect. They raised you, wiped your ass when you were a kid. So when they get older, maybe it's your turn to do the same.
And also learning from them is more important even, I would say.
Well, that's what's important for your grandchildren, because intergenerational passing of knowledge, I think, is critically important. And the West is losing that. The government wants to be the intergenerational passing of knowledge now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing a horrible job. What they're doing is passing down ideology into children's minds that are highly susceptible to ideology.
Yes, and that's why they do it with children first. Sean says, Bougainville had a vote and didn't have a legit vote and separated. Same with New Caledonia. I don't think South Sudan had a vote at all.
Yeah. And those were some of the places they were bringing up on the Jason Levine show as well. There wasn't a path for independence for a lot of these countries that ended up getting their independence, and they didn't have to use violence. They used a vote. So there's going to have to be people standing up after this vote is taking place, and we're going to have to use our voices to say we want unilateral declaration of independence if Canada's not going to go into good faith negotiations.
Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, Bougainville is a plant, if you didn't know, that flowers. There's so many here in Mexico. It's those like pink, purple plants.
Yeah.
And if you make tea out of it, it's really good if you have a sore throat. But wash them first. Troglodyte says, many immigrants still have that grandparent thing. Problem is they bring them all here. Yeah. Instead of caring for them in their home over there. Todd says, learn from mom and dad and take care of them when they are older.
Absolutely.
And it's sad. It's so sad to me that people have forgotten about that.
Well, and you also see why we got a super chat here. Thank you.
I'm waiting for it to pop up here. It's not popping up.
Okay.
There we go.
Wait, it popped up?
Yes.
Okay.
Stephen Jensen, thank you so much for the $10 super chat saying, I'm a proponent of firearms rights. All graduating students must do 2 years of mandatory military training and take home the actual pow-pow when released. Great for nation building, the Switzerland model.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And yes, I think you've probably mentioned it before, but we've had this conversation as well a lot because it is a good idea that they've forgotten about as well. We've forgotten about everything.
Well, yeah, and going back to the other conversation we were just having about immigrant families having that patriarch stay in the family, them taking care of their parents, help raise their children. This also helps for intergenerational wealth to kind of pass it on, to have the grandparents help with daycare, help educate the children and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's surprising that the government is wanting to help immigrant families more than families that are intergenerational within Canada, because intergenerational families within Canada are using the Canadian model of putting their parents in old folks' home and giving their children to the government, which is absolutely ridiculous.
And back to Stephen's comment as well from the super chat, this also kind of, it all blends into each other once you start looking at what has been forgotten and the models that used to work before, but that have been purposefully stripped from societies and from the citizenry. I do agree that it would be a great idea also to instill responsibility and a sense of duty to the nation, which is important that we've also lost, to do things like exactly some sort of military training, some sort of civil service to your fellow citizens to train you and remind you of civic values as well.
We're seeing that the government's bringing in mechanisms for mass control, and it's very concerning when they want to weaken population. They want to take away firearms ownership and responsibility and even parental rights. Well, they implement these mechanisms of mass control, which the fact that they're doing both at once, I think, is no mistake, and it's very intentional on a lot of these Western governments' intentions. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
Charlie Defoe, hello, says, do we have an estimated count on the Alberta petition? Not yet. I mean, there's some figures that people have tried to kind of cobble together, like Marty up north, for example, but nothing official.
Yeah, we do have some figures. Keith Wilson is being moderate, so I'll give the estimates here. Keith Wilson is being very moderate, saying between 280,000 and 300,000. I think he's being modest in his estimation. There are other estimates that we should be around 500,000. So if we put that right in the middle, around 400,000, that means hopefully we can get over 406,000 so we can beat the other petition.
What I meant to say is there's nothing official out
There's
yet.
nothing official, no. But there are very good resources for estimates, and that the low end is 280, the high end is around 500. So.
And Sean says we have that new microstate in Albania, and Albania supported it. Yeah. And Glenn Gunn says, I learned from my nana from Scotland, strongest wee women I've ever met.
And Scotland has a huge independence movement going on themselves. They have for a very long time.
Since Mary Queen of Scots. Glenn Gunn says she made it through World War II. While my mom was a child, she still understood manners. Another thing we've forgotten about, manners and etiquette, which are imperative to live in a civilized society and in actual civil society. And I will continue to hammer on about how important manners and etiquette are because...
That's an etiquette book she has in front of her, so that's why she's so passionate about it.
It's Emily Post. But I am passionate about it because I see it all the time. And those values got instilled in me while I am from Mexico City. They got instilled in me through family, but also through school. And schools have completely forgotten about those aspects as well that are important to educate civil society into how to be a civilized society. And nobody cares about that anymore, apparently. Again, I worked in 2 high schools in Vancouver and I saw it day in, day out. Sean says, Canada, don't listen to Nat. Canada, you're going to be even more Canadian with no Alberta. Just let Alberta go. You don't want those Hicks, Canada.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Just Canada, you do you over there.
Oh, and somebody was calling us a name in our chat for the Tomorrow Lich interview. What was that?
I don't remember.
Oh, I can't remember either.
Rage says, well, we're a third world country now, yes, with armed policemen patrolling the streets to who knows to do what. Todd says...
Oh, they were calling us gutter billies, like hillbillies, but from the gutter. Gutter billies. That I was trying to think of it.
They'll take it with honor. Todd says, guess we're Hicks. What an honor. Yeah, it is, actually, because they are hardworking people as well.
They're going to try guilt, shame. They're going to try whatever they can. Just focus on independence. Focus on that October 19th vote. And that's why we have the countdown on every thumbnail now, so people are going to know exactly when this vote is, and we don't forget, and everybody comes out to the polls that supports Alberta independence.
Yes. James says it's because they are terrified. Exactly. That is why. But now let's move into Alberta and the world, because there continues to be news about that. It is our last segment, so then I'll read all of the rest of your comments because I can. And starting with the assault heard around the world.
Well, and I want to talk a little bit about this before we actually go into the clip, because I got this specific clip for a reason here. And when we watch it, you'll see they get JD Vance off the stage extremely quick.
We know why.
It takes quite a while.
It's because of protocol. I know where you're going to go with this, but it was because of protocol.
Actually, I'm not going to go where you think I'm going to go.
Okay.
Why don't you run the segment?
You go. He gets angry when I break his little stream of thought. Continue, please.
I'm done with my stream of thought.
Okay, well, we saw a lot of theories about why this was, and maybe I thought that's where you were trying to go, but it was protocol from Secret Service, and there was an agent right in front of Trump as it happened. But what were you going to say?
Nothing. You go ahead.
Okay, the AFP post says President Trump was rushed off stage by Secret Service at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And yes, this news has made its way around the world. People even here in Mexico are talking about it. and they have apprehended the suspect.
The protocol is, what do you think the protocol is?
The protocol is get them both out different exits, and because Trump is a bit slower to move, they had to move JD Vance first because he was there.
Wrong.
They brought someone in.
They had two different teams approach both of them.
It's two different teams.
Yeah,
different
and to
Secret
go
Service
out two
teams
different
for each of
exits,
them.
but they didn't take action immediately with Donald Trump.
They did, though.
No, they didn't.
Yes,
well,
they did.
okay, we'll see right here.
They did, and they came out to explain exactly how they did it.
Okay, let's see.
And again, this.
Let's see. Let's just watch the clip and see if what you're saying is true.
Well, Secret Service drill in day in, day out before an event which way they're going to
And I'm
do it.
telling you
They
that-
did it in 90 seconds with
Okay.
Trump. And yes, it's two different
Can
teams.
you play the clip, or are you going to keep
because
talking?
Trump and JD Vance have two different teams. They actually got to Trump first,
Oh, this was the wrong clip. Oops.
but they actually
Oh.
did get to Trump first. Because there was someone immediately behind him.
Fast forward it and see how long the clip is. It's much longer. Yeah, go all the way to the halfway.
We are halfway.
Keep going. There's a. Okay, you can leave it. It was the wrong clip. There was a camera actually on the stage, so you can see each Secret Service member and exactly what they did. That's the clip I meant to show. That one was too far to actually see anything. That was my mistake. I apologize, but I will get the other clip because we obviously have a disagreement on this one.
Yes. So usually with U.S. politics, we have a lot more disagreements than we do with Alberta independence because we're both pushing for that.
But I will say they did both, even though I thought the one Secret Service team was much slower to act with Trump than JD Vance, because JD Vance was like that.
He was closer to the exit.
Do you want to continue?
Well, I want to show you something. Look at how fast someone, that's an agent. Look how fast they get
The other
behind
one,
Trump.
JD Vance is already
He's
off
there.
stage by this point.
Yeah, they can move him as fast off stage because number one, he moves slower. Number two,
We're
this
gonna
is
talk.
the practice protocol.
We're gonna talk about this tomorrow, and then I'm gonna
People
be
don't
right.
like us when we fight,
And then I'm gonna be
let's
right.
not fight about this. But I will say I watched a full breakdown about that. But let's
No, I was still talking and you interrupted me.
Go.
What I was going to say is, even though they were slower to move Trump off stage, a lot slower than JD Vance, the Secret Service team did a much, much better job than they did at Butler. I remember the female DEI hire they had, which is extremely short, couldn't even be a body shield at that point, was extremely hesitant to pull her weapon and everything else, and just looked dazed and confused when that happened. They did get him off stage slower, but at least it was in they did everything in an appropriate manner.
Yes, again, following protocol, they rehearsed it day in, day out.
Okay, we'll talk about it again tomorrow.
But what is insane...
We'll save it for Rumble because people don't like to see us argue.
Okay, but what is insane is this from CTV News very proudly saying that Canada is called on to fill the vacuum in the alphabet soup advocacy worldwide in face of Trump cuts. Because we know that through USAID, a lot of that funding was getting dispersed to all of these advocacy groups, I will call them, across the globe. And now that money is drying up and they have no idea what to do. So Canada to the rescue.
They want Canada to fund the LGBTQ community on a global basis for parades, for events, because the USAID money dried up.
Mm-hmm.
How's Canada going to do this? I don't know, but I'm sure Carney is going to love to do it because it's going to get him international LGBTQ recognition. And they're going to try to wait Trump out. That's their point.
More of your taxpayer dollars being wasted on this. It's already wasted on a federal scale and on a provincial scale. Now it's going worldwide. Same as how...
Why are you talking to Canada here? This is Alberta's money that's going to be funding this, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Exactly. But also, I was going to go into, it started with a day, then a week, then a month, and in Canada now it's a whole season. And they announced it very proudly as well. So again, don't doubt that your money is going to be used to pay for this. So become independent as quickly as possible. Escape the insane asylum.
Yeah.
You don't like it when I talk over you.
What are you talking about?
I like
Half the time I don't even know what you're talking about, Nat.
I press these buttons and then I like to press those buttons as well.
And then when the cameras turn off, she really presses my buttons.
But let's go into this from Nadine Wellwood. And she's great as well. And we are trying to get an interview with her too. but says, why is Canada treating Alberta like a resource colony? Alberta has abundant natural resources, yet it's not seen as a true partner.
Absolutely. And they treat...
And wasting their dollars as well.
They treat every Canadian citizen like a tax revenue resource colony on top of it.
Yeah, but Alberta specifically more.
Alberta gets it double.
Question number 2, when we talk about the systemic problems, I think Canada is working as Canada was intended to. So many people think Canada is broken, which that's an okay thought, but I honestly believe that Canada is working as it was designed, as the Laurentian elites want it to. And that's where Alberta is a resource colony, and we're treated as such. And so why would they not make an effort to be more amicable and more of a partnership with Alberta? Because in the end, I mean, we do have the natural... We just had Australia pull up on our shores a ship full of LNG, and yet we are with trillions of it sitting under our own soil. And question number 2, when we talk about the system
that you can't use because you have all these restrictions and impositions by design put on all your resources.
He also wants to keep Alberta weak while he tries to federalize all of Canada. He's going to start taking sovereignty away from these provinces. That's why he's buying LNG from Australia. And on top of that, he wants to line his buddies' pockets in Brookfield Asset Management. But he needs to keep the provinces weak while he attempts federalization. And he needs the population weak as well, and the economy weak while he attempts federalization.
Exactly. But now we will go into all of your comments.
Yeah.
Starting with, for some, we have so many now. What?
I love you, Nat.
I love you too. We have so many now that I can't bring the first ones up on the screen, but I will read them. Glenn Gunn says that professor is incredible. Yes. Troglodyte says Daniel Smith needs to step in. I mean, that would be not a terrible idea, actually.
It would be great press for Danielle Smith to step in on that one.
And Rage says she's doing a great job. She's exposing those academic liars.
Well, and she understands 80-20 issues just like Trump does. That's why Nietzsche's constantly getting in the short end of the stick. There's no issues he can take up that are 80. He gets the 20% every time because Danielle Smith is very aware of what the people want. She has her ear to the street. The problem is she doesn't need to take all these little referendum questions. She already knows what the population wants. Just go ahead with it.
Exactly. She already has the mandate. Glenn Gunn says free speech is getting that way.
Well, even without a mandate, they voted against the time change, yet she's going forward with it. So she understands what people kind of want and what she can kind of do. I don't know why she doesn't just go ahead with a lot of these policies.
But yeah, Glenn Gunn says free speech is getting that way because there is no true free speech in Canada. There's always that notwithstanding clause that they can implement on whatever they want, plus all the hate speech legislation that they continue to implement as well.
Yeah, but man, the fact that this is happening in Alberta and these laws that we profile that are happening in BC and the rest of Canada, they are now seeping into Alberta through Calgary, through the NDP, and it needs to stop. And this is why we need to highlight these stories when they do happen in Alberta so people know that it is happening close to home and it's time to vote for independence so we can actually make a change because it's only going to get worse under a Carney regime. And as much as Danielle Smith pushes back on it, apparently it's still seeping in there, whether it's through Calgary and the NDP. But when it does seep into Calgary and the NDP, it sets the precedent for the rest of the province, which isn't a good thing.
James B says there will be challenges in court, then it will magically take years to settle and she will be found to have not broken any laws, but in the end they still get what they wanted, silence for years.
Well, and lawfare, and that costs a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's the punishment, the process is the punishment.
Yeah.
So that's why, and that's what they did during the Freedom Convoy as well, although they did do actual punishment there. Justin GP says, show me the bodies. I can tell everyone I have a 12-incher, but don't dare ask me to prove it. It's the same thing. Justin GP reminding us that he is indeed a man. Troglodyte says, cool thing about knowledge keeping is that you can just make ish up.
Yeah. And I will say one other thing, just so everybody knows, tomorrow we changed our daytime thumbnails to have a white background so we can distinguish between the daytime live stream and the nighttime live stream.
Yes.
So
Rage says, F you, Gestapo. Yes, exactly. Shameful. Yeah. Woe colleges, says Glenn Gunn. And Glenn Gunn also says, hit the like button because, yes, we are trying to get to 100 likes per stream. It really does help out the stream, reach out to more people, and for YouTube to know that people like it.
Yeah, when we hit 100 likes, it helps us push us out to a much larger audience that maybe hasn't been exposed to Alberta independence the next day. So
Roland says, I think we should fire any cops that arrest people for talking. But it's coming, and more of them are going to be willing to do it. We've seen it in the UK already. We're seeing it constantly.
We need to take away immunity from judges as well. This is a huge problem.
Yes.
Because judges are the ones handing down these ideological sentences.
And as Bukele said, if you don't get rid of the corrupt judges first, then you can't actually enact the change you're looking for. Rage says indoctrination camps, and again, I wouldn't be surprised if they make, just like with Jordan Peterson, make her take a course about my brain just completely shut down there. Yes,
you don't want to argue with me. That's what typically happens. You should see me in a debate.
What I was going to say is they will probably make her take one of those courses where they try to
re-education
camp. Yeah. Glenn Gunn says the cops should have the right to say no.
Yeah, and I will say,
during the Freedom
Ottawa has appointed a lot of these judges, and now these judges are residents of Alberta. There's going to need to be a cleanup happening once Alberta gets its independence of its education and its legal system.
Thank you so much again to Stephen Jensen for the $5 super chat, saying maybe she's having the other questions to justify the cost of citizen question by itself.
Yeah, I don't know. She has cleared it up a lot since she originally announced those 9 questions by offering a separate ballot for the independence question and saying she's going to count that one first. And if it goes for the way of independence, she's not going to count the other 9 questions. That was enough for me.
And hopefully she stays on that train of thought.
And I mean, once we get the question on the October 19th ballot, we need a verbal commitment from her again, saying that she's going to stick what she said originally.
Yes. And Sean says, I hope that people will eventually realize the cops are part of the problem. Some cops, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of it, we just need good training for cops. We're gonna need police officers at some point, but we're gonna need hopefully good citizens as well. And concealed carry could be a part of crime prevention within Alberta.
Troglodyte says, as the Freedom Convoy showed, they won't, and all the good cops likely left.
Yeah, and we don't need some kind of federal police force. We need local cops. Local cops know the community as well.
Yes.
Having the RCMP in Alberta, I don't like it. I'd rather just have more local cops or sheriffs.
Yes. Troglodyte says, I was just following orders.
Yeah.
And that's what they all still tell themselves, I'm guessing. Sean says, Guy, look up the dark black water regarding Disneyland. It's very interesting.
Well, and
don't encourage it.
Wait, repeat that?
I hate you. I hate when you don't listen. Sean says, Guy, look up the dark black water regarding Disneyland. It's very interesting.
Oh, I'm going to have to look that up. I was watching, because I really hate the direction Disneyland has gone.
Mm-hmm.
You do a guest appearance every other week on WDW Pro every other Thursday, and they talk about a lot of the issues with Disneyland and the cultural capture. A lot of people think they're changing their ways. No, they're not changing their ways. They're trying to present that to the general public, but they're just trying to wait Trump out, and they're still installing ideology into a lot of their content.
Yes. Glenn says, the big guys, gals have their own polling stations, hate seeing the rest weep. And Sean says, no, hold on. Todd says, supper is ready, enjoying the roast beef with some good old horseradish, me and my buddy Jer. Hello to your buddy Jer.
Oh, I love roast
beef.
beef.
I hope you enjoy it. That is one, I'm not that good at the what's it called? Slow cooker cooking.
Well, and of all the fast food places, I actually like Arby's the best because I like roast beef so much, and it's thinly
I've never
sliced.
been to Arby's.
And then they have the Arby's sauce. Oh, I love it.
I've never been. Sean says, Mexico used to be the same time zone and country as the Philippines. To not. Oh, okay. Thank you. Now I understand, I guess. Sean says, by country, I mean administrative group under Spain, to be specific. Yes, because Spain helped civilize both, I will say, because I don't like the colonized narrative. Troglodyte says, my son-in-law is Swiss. He took home his fully automatic SBR after service in the Gebirgsjäger mountain troops.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't pronounce that.
Well, if you have a concealed carry and you're bringing in mass immigration, things can go wrong. But if you have a high trust society with very strict immigration and very good integration of what immigrants you take in, you can have a good concealed carry, good concealed carry policies within your society. And that's what we need to aim for, is a high trust society. And we need to build that. And it starts at a grassroots level.
It starts with the family and the home and the intergenerational education, everything we talk
And the
about.
community and the church. I mean, you name it.
Sean says, I still like the Switzerland model for healthcare as well. Yes, I mean, better than the Canadian one, probably.
Well, and I was talking.
We talk about public-private sectors.
Well,
as
and I was talking with some liberal people I know yesterday, and we were talking about how a lot of the Nordic countries actually are doing better than a lot of the other European countries because they reinvested in capitalism and they really allowed a lot of the business leaders to kind of steer the direction of their country and really invested in policies that would help capitalism flourish. Yes, they have a strong social welfare system, but it only works because they lean in heavily to capitalism.
Philip Soliu, thank
Oh,
you so much
thank you.
from Louisiana.
Oh, shit, what did I do?
Remember correctly. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat saying, as a citizen of the US and Canada, Alberta independence will be a model for political reset for both countries. And we always say the paradigm shift between citizens and their governments is very important worldwide with what is happening with Alberta independence. And I'm glad that you are seeing it as well.
Well, I very often talk about the paradigm shift that needs to happen between these elites that were ruling over citizens and not doing what people are voting for. That paradigm shift needs to happen where the citizens take control. And although I don't want to see the United States break up, because if they fall or they start to balkanize, China is going to have an easy path to be the world leader. That being said, Alberta can represent for the United States a paradigm shift within the states themselves, how the states can take back power from the federal government. And I think that really does need to happen.
Yeah, because
if liberal states want to invoke liberal policies, then they can fail and people will vote with their feet. That's the beauty of the American system.
Because the US, at the end of the day, is a constitutional republic.
Yeah.
Not a democracy, as people like to claim. I do agree with a bunch of
Well,
contributors.
but independence movements do need to happen in other places of the world, especially with the European Union.
DeBover says, grandson said he wants to retire, only 17, and move to Switzerland. Tyler Robinson says, the referendum act is downloadable from the Alberta. From the Alberta government, section 4 is binding of referendum. Did not see any change, but the document is old.
We used to focus on a lot of world politics, and I forgot if it was Switzerland or Denmark, but the news did a story over there, and they didn't know what they were getting into. They interviewed this migrant that came over from an Islamic country, and he says, oh yeah, the government gave me a house for my family. And then somehow the question came up where, oh, I have a second wife. And she goes, oh, where does she live? And he goes, oh, the government gave me a second house for my second wife right next door. And he was collecting welfare on both houses. And he said, oh, I'm trying to bring over my third wife from my other country so I can get another house. And the person that was doing the reporting was a little bit shocked. It wasn't a sit-up interview. And yeah, that was one of the funniest clips I had seen. So even the Nordic countries have some bad policies, but and they're starting to realize the faults of immigration. They're actually paying immigrants like $10,000 to re-migrate back to their home country or to a different EU country.
Glenn Gunn says, we don't have a vote yet, but we are getting closer, hopefully. Sean says, I love Hicks. I am a Hick for sure. And Sean also says, they picked up JD Vance like a rag doll. It was kind of funny. Those guys are strong.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and we're not going to get into the debate about this.
Tomorrow.
Vermore says, getting spicy.
I mean, Jason Kinney and Keith Wilson are going to have their big debate on the 1st and the 25th. Me and Nat might have a debate tomorrow.
Chocolate Knight says, no DEI Secret Service agents this time. Apparently not. Apparently not.
Well, and yeah, that was the first thing I thought, because everybody that came out was extremely tall. The reason they're tall, they're supposed to be 6'7" and over so they can be used as body shields until the other members can clear them. That's why it was so tragic what happened in Butler with that DEI hire. She wasn't the only one that was extremely short. Trump is tall to begin with.
Yes.
I actually knew a guy that had protected a previous president, and he was huge. And he said, oh, every single individual that is eligible for the job has to be 6'7". Under Biden, they obviously had changed that policy. And now I think they brought in old policies, which are good.
Yes. Glenn Gunn says, Hicks are the hardest working pieces of yahoos you will ever meet. I know, I met every single one of them. They are all Hicks or yahoos. Sam, hello, Sam says, Red Green, one of my favorite Hicks or TV Hicks. Hold on, where are we? Rage says, if you're not handsome, at least be handy.
I'm neither.
Handsome, I would say. Tal says, back bacon and beer, eh? Hold on. Sean says JD was by himself. Trump had guests all around him and got in front of him. And they got in front of him. Vance was just picked up. No one next to him, so no one got in front of him like with Trump, and love the arguing. Thank you. I'm right, I know.
You're not right. You're never right. I placate you a lot of the show.
Thank you so much, Stephen Jensen, again for the $5 super chat. Saying my dad came from Denmark. He left in the 50s because they were socialists. And a lot of people, well, I love to point at the Denmark and all the Nordic countries as, they have the best system ever. There's a lot of people, especially content creators now, independent content creators, coming up saying it's not as good as people paint it. And the fact that it's being used, these countries are being used as examples is not good, because we ourselves, us as citizens, don't like the system.
But they're not as socialist as they used to be. A lot of those policies are hung over from that time where they went extremely socialist. And when you actually research into it, that was a huge mistake. Everybody in those Nordic countries know it was a mistake to lean that hard into socialism. And the way they corrected was through private industry and capitalism.
Mm-hmm. Which, if you try to tell it to any of the current socialists that continue to say that they're great examples, they just won't believe you.
Yeah.
Hold on. Tal Talk says, take off, eh? This was when we were fighting.
Yeah.
Well, not debating. We weren't fighting, debating.
Oh, a super sticker. This is the second one we've gotten now.
Oh, thank you so much,
and I can't
Canadian.
like it, but...
You mean you can't press the like button? You can't press the like button, yeah. We do like it. Thank you so much, Embarrassed Canadian, for the $10 super sticker, saying thank you.
And thank you.
Is it a pear?
I don't...
And a pear going
yeah,
like
it's a pear. That's the shape of body I'll probably have in about 5 years.
In about 5 years?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. It doesn't look like that on camera. I don't want the people to know.
Okay, sorry. We'll keep the secret. Todd says, we like seeing you guys. Hold on. Oh, no. Where are we? No.
You're lost in the abyss, Nat.
Oh, no. Hold on.
What happened? The super sticker.
I can't. Everything's moving. Everything's moving. Here. Todd says, we like seeing you guys arguing. It's fun. It's because a lot of people used to tell us they didn't like to see us argue or debate, so we kind of stopped doing it, but sometimes it comes up. Roland says, put them in an asylum instead. Yeah. Todd says, you guys argue like grandma and grandpa. Grandma and grandpa T. Shriver, you used to. Yes. Sean says, which season? Not sure what you mean. Justin GP says, I heard it as soon as I heard that. I read that as soon as I heard that. Yeah. Was arguing like old people.
Yeah. You should see us off camera.
Yeah. When we go to the grocery, we can have like a 5-minute debate on what ketchup to buy. It's happened before. But that's how we are.
Yeah.
And we never have big blowout fights because I think we just have debates 24/7.
Well, and we worked so much, and even though we work on the show and it looks like we're always working together on the show because we're talking, off the show, we have completely different jobs. I have to gather the stories, post the X. You have to do the editing. Sometimes together we figure out who we want to interview and try to get as guests. Yes. But a lot of it is we're completely siloed in the exact same room and a lot of silence.
Yes.
Trying to fight for
but we do talk to each other.
Fighting for the founding of a nation.
Exactly. Morris 007 says, come on, Nat, let's see that Latina fire. Oh, it comes out sometimes.
Oh, it comes out.
Troglodyte says, I had the Bob and Doug album. Glenn says, you guys better smooch after live stream, just saying. Again, this is how we are normally. We try to tamp it down for camera, actually, because people said they don't like it. But
yeah,
that's
but I think we used to have more of a bit of an international audience. I think from people from Alberta have a bit of a thicker skin.
Yes.
So they don't mind. Maybe you don't mind seeing it.
True.
Don't get any ideas. Start yelling at me on camera.
Sam says, make up the sofa tonight, Nat. No. No. I mean,
one time we got in a fight a long time ago. And I tried to sleep in the bed. She goes, show some respect and get on the couch.
Yeah. That was an actual fight, and then he laughed about it.
We rarely have fights though.
Yes.
But
we have a lot of
I always
debates.
bring it up.
Yeah. But we have a lot of debates, and again, that is what I like.
Yeah.
And we're both very stubborn people.
And I'm smarter than you, so I always come out on the top of the debate, so I don't mind.
No, he doesn't most of the time. And let's remember who coined the term "Nat's always right." You did. Because I always end up being right. Sam says, oh no, I read that one. No need. I mean, again, and I think it's healthy to be able to disagree and debate on small things and then agree on the fundamental aspects of where you want to lead your family and your marriage and your kids to.
It's very important that you know the political views of your significant other before you get married and have kids, because once you have kids, these issues are going to come up, and it comes up in the decisions of the kids, but you don't really realize that a lot of couples never talk politics, and they don't know what the other person's first principles are. And then they get in a tiff about their child and which direction they want to go or something they want to do. And they don't realize they've never asked each other about their first principles.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And we see a lot of divorces.
Yeah.
And the rates are insane right now.
Well, oh God, what was it called? It's called Mexican divorce.
Yes, because it started in Mexico. No fault divorce.
No fault divorce is called Mexican divorce.
Yeah.
Because it started in Mexico and then America adopted, and divorce rates shot through the roof.
The divorce rates in Mexico have been insane since that got enacted, which is crazy because, again, we're a majority Catholic country. Stephen Jensen says, did they discuss about the Canada Sovereign Wealth Fund in that article? No. Of course not. Of course they didn't.
Well, we're going to bring it up tomorrow. Carney is asking citizens to invest in a Canadian Sovereign Wealth Fund, which is crazy. You're already taking 50% of what they have. And now you want them to invest with you? They have nothing left. They're barely surviving. When he's asking for that, he must be asking Albertans because they're the only ones that could afford it.
Exactly. Stephen Jensen says total Brookfield scam. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
100%.
And again, all his business, everything is down in the U.S., but he continues to complain about the U.S.
Yeah, why doesn't he take his investments out of the U.S. and invest in the Canadian Sovereign Wealth Fund if he believes in Canada so much?
But he's asking Canadians to do that for him.
It's enraging.
Della Robinson says, hi, Nat and Guy, the Athabasca Glacier Valley between Jasper and Banff had numerous sightings by big game guides.
Ooh, maybe we'll have to go check it out when we come to Alberta.
You can go with.
There's actually a website that shows every single Bigfoot sighting within North America.
Cool. Sean says it's about control. Cheap energy isn't good for government control that Carney wants. Exactly. Yeah. And even though he does have Brookfield asset management investments in Middle Eastern countries for oil, the same oil that he complains about all the time, and that he doesn't want to see Alberta or Canada prosper with. Sam, thank you so much for the $2 super chat thing. One thing we know, no AI here, just real people. See, it's good when we debate and discuss
I guess so.
And when I interrupt you and you get angry.
Yeah.
He looks like an AI when he gets angry and I interrupt him.
When I come back with a black eye tomorrow, you're going to know I'm not AI.
I don't hit.
You do, but you don't hit very hard, so you don't leave any marks.
I don't hit. Because then people clip this and then don't give any excuses for our Fed minders who actually believe things.
She says, this is Mexico. I can hit you if I want. You have nowhere to go. Where are you going to go? Back to fascist Canada? And now I'm saying, well, I might just move to Alberta.
Again, some crazy people out there will believe that, especially the Fed minders that we have watching us. But no. Sean says, Janet Jackson taught me all about control when I was a kid. Sean says, cheap, I mean abundant and affordable energy. Yeah. Troglodyte says cheap energy is the engine that drives the economy. And for some reason, and on purpose, these economists and central planners don't want to admit that. Troglodyte, oh no, I read that one. Lyle Norman says, thanks for the reminder to hit the like button. Yes, please hit the like button. It really does help. And hold on.
And if you're not subscribed, we are a small channel and we don't make a lot of edited videos, which is typically where you get subscribers. We do mainly live. So if you can hit the subscribe button, and if you're not subscribed, it really does help.
Yes.
And should we tell them why we don't do a lot of edited videos?
Because what you just saw happens every time we try to record.
Every time we do it live, we get along great, and it's great. But every time we do an edited video, we get in an argument. So I just like
a debate, not an argument.
It's better for the relationship if we just focus on lives, and interviews go well as well.
Really good, yeah. And we think it's more effective as well.
Yeah.
Chocolate says I paid equivalent nearly $8 a gallon for diesel a week ago.
Oh my God.
Sean says, Guy, absolutely right about judges. As a victim of my country's justice system, you don't want unaccountable judges in charge of anything. And the U.S. still has that giant, glaring problem there.
I'm allowed to give. I'm willing to give a little leeway and compromise on this. I want to see no immunity for judges, but I would say, oh God.
Judges.
The first time it happens, maybe they can have immunity for the very first time, and then they either have to resign, or the next time something happens, they're 100% culpable. Because you'll have a lot of people that will file false charges against judges for a vendetta. So there has to be a little bit of leeway, but very, very little.
Or a true mechanism.
And there has to be mechanisms for mass transparency as well.
Yes. Sam says the idea to the super chat Stephen Jensen sent. The idea is that if independence vote fails, she moves on the other issues, onto the other issues. Yeah. The way, at least the way she explained it about how she will put the Alberta referendum independence.
But I honestly didn't think she was going to notice. I don't think she thought voters and the independence movement was going to notice so quickly. Within hours of making that announcement, people were saying, you're muddying the waters. Why are you doing this? They completely dissected the entire thing, because people are civically and politically engaged right now in Alberta more than ever. Usually a politician will get away with something like that. And she thought the voters were going to say, oh, wow, she's doing a good thing for us. She's getting us engaged in democracy, when we've seen right through it right from the beginning.
And I try to hammer on through the rest of the questions because we are running a little bit late. But Stephen Jensen says, maybe, but she can't change any of the constitutional questions. I think I just read that. Todd says, sheriffs are on the way, Guy, the cavalry. Yeah. And that it was one good thing as well about that. Todd says, I want to be in the cavalry. Sean says, Guy's right about Disney as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see a lot of other content creators giving cover for Disney right now. And absolutely ridiculous. The fact that you would buy the propaganda that Disney is trying to change their way, when you do any research at all, they're literally trying to wait this administration out and give surface level changes. I wouldn't bring my kids to Disney. I wouldn't trust employees at Disney. I'm not going, and nothing against employees, but God, just like schools, where do PDFs go when they want to get access to children?
Where they
go to schools, and then they go to places like Disney.
Yes. Stephen Jensen says citizen militia ASAP. Rage Against Machine says the Alberta Rangers militia. Todd says, no, guys, slow cooker at my house with me and Jer and the horseradish instead of Arby's. That's what you said. You liked Arby's. Sean says, I love Arby's too. Guy, dang, you're hitting on all my points today.
and Arby's, I mean, home cooked roast beef is always going to be the best. But for fast food, nothing comes close to Arby's, because it's not really fast food. It's actual roast beef.
I don't like roast beef. Todd says,
and when we moved to Mexico, they don't have roast beef here. It's very, very rare. And then it's prepackaged from another country. I'm not buying prepackaged roast beef from another freaking country.
Todd says, let's go concealed carry. We're game, Guy. Alba Twitch says, yeah, Arby's was the way when you need to eat out. And also says, I like the Great Canadian with the horseradish sauce.
Well, and Arby's is very rare, because I grew up half in Canada, half in the United States. It's very rare in the States. I haven't seen one here in Mexico.
No, there's no.
And if I ever go back to Canada, which would be Alberta only, because I'm not going anywhere else. As beautiful as BC is, I don't trust that government not to arrest me anymore after everything I've said online. I will be checking out an Arby's in Alberta.
Sean says better than in Canada and
AAA or AA, I guess.
Glengon says Arby's had a great beef dip. Okay, we're just talking about food now.
Arby's talk is always welcome here.
Stephen Jensen says to Philip Soiliu, I never thought about the U.S. side. Yeah, and what Philip Soiliu was also important. saying as a citizen of the USA and Canada, Alberta independence will be a model for political reset for both countries.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it will be. And I think
But,
we need to hammer on that argument a bit more as well.
And in Canada, you need full independence, but within the United States, you'll be able to change the model state by state by having states take back control from the federal government and really understand and start listening to their citizens. They're going to get, hopefully they get civic engagement within these states, which it can really be a different kind of independence model that takes back control from the federal government, but hopefully keeps the United States intact so China doesn't take control.
Oh, and I finally caught up. So Rage Against Machine says we could set the example to the world. Yes, you had that opportunity, that historic opportunity that comes once in a never.
It's not that we could, we currently are. The amount of civic engagement, the amount of canvassers, the way content creators, the way we're behaving and engaging with nationalists compared to how they're engaging with us, we're setting the model just like we did during the truckers convoy. Every other protest after that really implemented that same model, whether they left emergency lanes open, they used tractors, the working class and the farmers, and they went out from there. The same thing is happening right now, but on a level, rather than being reactive to the government, we're being proactive and taking back control of the government.
Yes. Sean says, USA, when, not if, will balkanize. Yeah. And Sean also says, I saw this interview guy, I think it was Denmark.
Oh.
What was Denmark? I don't know.
I don't know what it is.
Don't remember what we were talking about. Sorry, I always say real. Steven Jensen says, my dad came from, I read that.
It was the interview about the capitalism, them going away from socialism and investing in capitalism again.
Rage Against Machine says, just giving away houses when our people can't afford rent. Yeah, why not? Lyle Norman says, if you guys come to Alberta...
it's one thing if you're trying to build houses and then give them to citizens. Some countries have done that successfully. But when you're importing unlimited amounts of immigrants and then giving them houses, I'm talking in the EU and other countries, when you're not even giving your own citizens priority to the housing, is crazy.
Lyle Norman says, if you guys come to Alberta, we'll have to get you guys some homegrown pork if you guys like pork. Yeah, thank you so much. Yes.
Absolutely. And we definitely need to go by the Whistle Stop Cafe if we go.
And yes, so hold on. Todd says, May 2nd, Whistle Stop Pig Roast. Let's go. Yes.
Yeah, and he was talking about that
Chris
today.
let us know about that today because he was preparing it today and he had a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be cool. And we'll continue to talk about it as we head into the weekend. Edward says, Nat is always right. Yes, and thank you.
Yeah, her head's getting bigger as you're giving her those compliments. You might not be able to see it on camera, but you see that smile, it's twice as big as normal. Oh, it's small now. I'm humble.
Real Steven Jensen says...
She's like the Jeff Rath of the show, and I'm like the Keith Wilson.
Oh, sure. You're not even an ounce close in intelligence to Keith. Real Steven Jensen says Saturday, May 2nd. But I love you, but I love you.
The true feelings are coming out.
That comparison was a bit out there.
Go marry Keith then.
Lyle says, I'm going to bring Chris some chocolate. Says, darn, I heard Rick Scott talk about what he's barbecuing. Sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Baco Alberta says, I saw Reagan in person when I was a little kid and thought he was short. Later, someone explained he's fairly tall, but the wall of guards around him were all 6'5" plus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And again,
and the new standard was supposed to be 6'7", but it was lowered by Biden.
I was going to say something.
Maybe because he knew he was going to lose to Trump, and he's like, we need to take away his shield.
I mean, again, if Baron Trump ever does become president, where are they going to find people to guard him? Because he's gigantic. He's a tree.
They're going to need people on stilts, and Baron Trump is definitely being president one day.
Glenn Gunn says, Guy, do yoga with a beer. Well, it would have to be a non-alcoholic beer because we're both sober, but you could try that.
Now,
you tried hot yoga. You didn't like it. I hate yoga. I hate yoga. I can't do it.
I have a genetic back condition that came in much later in life, and I didn't know what it was. So I was trying everything to get rid of the pain, and I was doing yoga for a long time. But I eventually found out it was genetic, and it wasn't from physical exertion.
I don't. But you used to teach MMA and jiu-jitsu and stuff. I can't stand yoga. It's too boring. Sean says, Arby's and Disney topics. I think WDW Pro is rubbing off on you guys. We used to talk about a lot of those things before, but when we focused on Alberta independence,
I didn't want to focus on Canadian politics for a long time. I was so black-pilled on it until Alberta independence came up and actually gave me hope again.
Yes.
And that's why we started focusing on cultural issues and the cultural war for a long time. If you look back at our old videos.
And I am still really interested in that as well. Like I do eventually want to make some edited videos, maybe by myself, about cultural issues as well within Alberta, but also in general.
Well, if a JD Vance or Marco Rubio doesn't get in after Trump and it's like Gavin Newsom, the cultural war is going to rage back up to the surface. Right now, it's subsiding.
Rage Against Machine, speaking of rage, says, you two are great. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Glad you're still here after our little debates. Sean says, Portland ketchup is the best ketchup in the world, by the way. No joke, it's really good. Because I said we always debate and discuss even about tiny things like rice or ketchup when we're at the
it's got to be better than the Heinz ketchup and that family. Well, John Kerry married the Heinz queen.
Stephen Jensen, I'm just going to try to power through these because as Stephen Jensen says, Fringe shortly, see you all there soon. So yes, I remember Fringe started, I think already.
Okay, let's power through the questions.
That's what I'm trying to do. Tal says, all those sayings earlier was a chat doing Bob and Doug McKenzie lines. Oh, okay. Todd says, gotta go, Fringe. Come in fast, lunatic Fringe, and have a good time there as well. Primors007 says, that's right, guy, keep poking the bear. I poke the bear. Sean says, guy is always keeping it 100, which is very Californian of him. Hang 10, is that a California thing or Hawaii thing?
I don't know.
The surfers say
I've
that.
lived in both.
I know, but the surfers say
Okay,
that.
let's continue with the question. Let's get over to Rumble, actually, if we can.
No, I want to finish YouTube.
Okay.
Going on says, you guys are great. Thank you for being you. Thank you. And thank you for being you. Says, I appreciate that you look into many people. Keep on getting up from Calgary. Good night. Good night, and thank you for being here. Todd says, yeah, there's lots of Sasquatch here. There's one in my living room right now. Say hi to him. Troglodyte says, my ex was a progressive Democrat. I wasn't political at the time. Then I saw her try to tear down a Trump sign near our house in Washington back in 2015. That's when I knew she was nuts. Well, I'm glad you noticed, but I'm sorry you had to go through that. And again, that is why it's so important to get to first principles before you even move on to everything else. Jared Robinson says, Alberta has lots of AI, Alberta independence. Yes, maybe that's what they meant with all those articles. Sean says, Troglodyte, been there, my dude. Again, it's pretty common. Sam says, use a telephone book, Nat. No. Hold on. Sean says, Shakespeare was right about them lawyers. All the way back then. Rage says, judges should be elected, not selected, and a right to recall implemented. I will continue to say Mexico did try to go the whole electing judges way. It's not working out that well. One day, maybe I'll make a video about the failures of that because a lot of people still think it's a good idea. And at least in the model implemented here in Mexico, it has not been a good idea. Troglodyte says, Dickens said the law is an ass. Yeah. Sam says, I wrote Daniel write about those 9 editions, as did many others. Sean says, Disney calls employees cast members, guy. I know that because I watch and consume a lot of stuff regarding Disney and deep dive investigations and stuff.
She's done a lot of deep dives into Disney and why we know they're not changing at this point. Yes. So
Troglodyte says, beef is so damn expensive now here. And it'll continue to go up.
Well, and if anybody is thinking about going to a theme park, the new theme park right down the street from Disney World is Epic Universe, and that's where everybody is really going now because they're
I'm not a fan either.
But they're absolutely fed up with what's going on with Disney right now.
Go to Dollywood.
Dollywood is the best.
I really want to go to Dollywood. Sean says, it's funny, as a kid I remember a lot more beef than chicken, and now it's the opposite, a lot more chicken. Because they don't want you to eat beef. Even in Canada, they were not going to be labeling the fake beef they put into grocery stores. Yeah. Troglodyte says, yep, when I was a kid, we ate steak on the regular and it wasn't expensive. And let's remember those times. Sean says it wasn't every other night. My mom cut my brother's steak because he was lazy.
Yeah, and if we invest in cattle farms and things like that, beef can be extremely cheap locally inside Alberta.
Yeah, and better grown.
We need to develop that industry.
Yes. Sean says Reagan was shot at the same hotel as Trump this weekend, the Hilton. Yeah, and we talked about that.
Yeah, we've talked about that earlier in the past, and that's always where a lot of these events happen. Trump is trying to build a new ballroom. Everybody's been completely against him, but that's how you avoid incidents like this. It's completely bulletproof glass on the windows in the new ballroom, so hopefully that thing gets built soon.
Sean says, remember Biden's own dog nearly got him. And then Troglodyte says, the beach sand almost got him. A bicycle almost got him too. And the steps up to the plane almost got him. Everything got him. And eventually Kamala got him too. Sam says, the dog smelled ice cream stuff coming out of his butt, I will have to say. Sean says, Hang Ten is a Hawaiian thing, I think. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Sean says, Nat said dude. When did I say dude?
I don't know.
Okay. I do say dude quite a bit. Tal says, maybe for real, Cali surfing culture. And lastly, Sean says, I love ice cream. Wait a minute.
Okay,
and finally, we got through them.
Sorry, I promised I would let her get through all the chats on the night show. The day show we have to really cut off after an hour and a half. Otherwise, the two shows bleed together it becomes one show.
But thank you so much, and we're going to go over to RUMBLE. Don't forget to hit the like button before you head over to RUMBLE. We will probably continue to debate it as we were doing
earlier. And we got 3 stories over there, so
we'll see you there. There's a 30-minute wait screen and then
30-second wait screen.
30-second wait screen. Yes, sorry. 30-second wait screen, and then we'll see you there. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It also does really help us out.
And we'll be back tomorrow at 12 noon.
Here on YouTube. But we're going to Rumble now.
Let's get ready to rumble!